You staying this time?
Yeah, I think I'm home.
The German Shepherd's teeth were inches from the stranger's throat when something impossible happened. The attack dog, trained to take down armed suspects without hesitation, suddenly froze. Then it did something that made every officer on that foggy pier question everything they knew about loyalty, memory, and the unbreakable bonds forged in war. What happened next would be caught on camera, go viral within hours, and force the United States Navy to confront a truth they'd buried for 5 years. A truth about a mission that supposedly left no survivors. A truth about a soldier they'd declared dead.
We won't either.
And a truth about a dog who never forgot the man who once saved his life. But before we reveal what happened when those two souls recognized each other through the mist, we need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button right now, because this story is going to take you places you never expected. And drop a comment telling us what city you're watching from. We want to see just how far this incredible true story travels. Because what you're about to hear will restore your faith in loyalty when you need it most. Now let's go back to where it all began. Ellie Vance dropped the coffee pot. It shattered across the diner floor, but she didn't move to clean it up. She just stood there staring through the window at the man on the pier. 7 hours, she whispered. Sarah grabbed her arm. Ellie, what's wrong? That man hasn't moved in 7 hours. So, maybe he's... My husband sat like that. Ellie's voice cracked. The night before the storm took him, he sat on that same pier looking at the water, and he wouldn't talk to me. Wouldn't tell me what he was thinking. The next day he was gone. Sarah's grip tightened. You think he's going to... Call Sheriff Miller. Now. But Ellie's instincts were wrong about one thing. The man on the pier wasn't planning to die. He was planning to disappear. Ryan Nelson had been counting. 7 hours, 43 minutes, 12 seconds. Every breath measured. Every heartbeat controlled. This was what they'd trained him for: absolute stillness, total awareness, perfect patience. The mission was simple. Observe the smuggler's trawler scheduled to dock at 1800 hours. Confirm the cargo transfer. Report back. Do not engage. Do not compromise cover. But then he'd seen the dog. Yesterday, during his reconnaissance, a K9 unit had passed by. German Shepherd. Dark coat. Disciplined movements. And something in the way it moved, the way it scanned, the way it held its head, had triggered a memory Ryan had spent 5 years trying to bury. Echo. It couldn't be. Echo was dead. The official report said so. The memorial service said so. The empty collar in Ryan's truck said so. But that dog yesterday had moved exactly like Echo. Same gait, same intensity, same ghost. So Ryan had come back, sat down, and waited to see if the impossible was true. He wasn't ready for what believing would cost him. Sheriff Brody Miller pulled up outside the diner 12 minutes after Sarah's call. He was 28, ambitious, and determined to prove that Port Blossom had made the right choice hiring him. He walked in with his hand near his radio. Ellie, what's going on? She pointed. That man's been there since dawn. Won't move. Won't talk. Something's wrong with him. Brody studied the figure through the window. Military posture, tactical awareness. This wasn't a suicide risk. This was something else. Did anyone approach him? Leo tried this morning, Sarah said. Kid walked right up, said hello. The man didn't even blink. That made Brody's instincts fire. In his experience, people who ignored teenage boys were either deaf or dangerous. I'll handle it. He adjusted his belt, probably just a veteran having a rough day. Ellie caught his arm. Brody, be careful. That man's wound tight. So am I. He smiled. That's why they pay me. But Brody had no idea what he was about to trigger. Ryan heard the footsteps, calculated their pace. 28 steps from shore to his position. Young male. Approximately 180 pounds. Law enforcement based on the radio chatter and boot weight. He didn't turn around. Morning. The voice was friendly professional. I'm Sheriff Miller. Been getting some calls about you. Ryan said nothing. If he stayed silent, the sheriff would eventually leave. Small-town cops didn't have the patience for hours-long standoffs. Sir, I need you to acknowledge me. The sheriff was wrong about that. But Ryan had learned something in 12 years of special operations. Silence was a weapon. Use it right, and people filled the emptiness with their own fears. Sir, I'm going to need you to identify yourself. Ryan felt the moment shift. The sheriff was getting frustrated. Good. Frustrated people made mistakes, made noise, drew attention away from the trawler that was supposed to dock, and Ryan checked his internal clock. 6 hours and 40 minutes. All right. The footsteps came closer. Last chance. Show me some ID or I'm taking you in for questioning. Ryan turned his head. Just slightly. Just enough to let the sheriff know he'd made a decision. Ryan, he said. My name is Ryan. What Ryan didn't know was that this one choice, speaking instead of staying silent, would unravel everything. Ryan what? Brody pressed. Nelson. Do you have identification, Mr. Nelson? Slowly, carefully, Ryan reached into his jacket. The sheriff's hand moved to his weapon. Smart, but unnecessary. If Ryan had wanted to hurt him, the kid would already be unconscious in the water. Ryan held up his driver's license. Oregon State. Current address in Portland. Everything legitimate because the best covers were always built on truth. Brody examined it. This says Portland. What brings you 90 miles south? Needed a change of scenery. For 7 hours. I like the view. Brody's jaw tightened. Sir, people are concerned. You've been here since dawn without moving. That's not normal behavior. Neither is bothering someone who's not breaking any laws. Ryan's voice stayed flat, controlled. Am I under arrest? Not yet. Then we're done here. But they weren't. Because Brody was young and proud and standing in front of an audience of townspeople who expected him to handle this situation. Mr. Nelson, I'm asking you to come down to the station voluntarily. Answer some questions, then you can go on your way. No. The word hung between them. Excuse me. I said no. Ryan turned his head back to the ocean. I'm sitting on a public pier. I'm not threatening anyone. I'm not disturbing anyone. You have no legal grounds to detain me. Brody felt heat rush to his face. In front of the entire town, this stranger was making him look weak. Sir, stand up, now. Sheriff. Ryan's voice dropped lower. Walk away. Please. That's not going to happen. It should. Something in Ryan's tone made Brody's hand move to his radio. He made the call he'd been trying to avoid. Dispatch, this is Sheriff Miller. I need backup on the municipal pier, and get Kate Jennings and her K-9 down here. Ryan's entire body went rigid. No. A dog. Ryan's voice cracked for the first time. You're bringing a dog? Brody noticed the change immediately. The stranger's perfect control had slipped. That's right. Officer Jennings has a K-9 trained for suspect apprehension. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you going to cooperate? Ryan's hands began to tremble. Because if that K-9 unit was the same one he'd seen yesterday, and if that German Shepherd really was Echo, then bringing them face to face would do two things. It would blow his cover, and it would break his heart all over again. Sheriff, Ryan's voice was barely audible. You just made a terrible mistake. Kate Jennings arrived in 11 minutes. She stepped out of her K-9 unit with Titan at her side, 90 pounds of perfectly trained German Shepherd, dark coat, gleaming eyes, alert and focused. Brody briefed her quickly. Subject on the pier, won't identify properly, won't cooperate. Something about him feels military. Kate studied the man's silhouette through the fog. You're right. Look at his posture. That's professional training. Think he's dangerous? I think he knows how to be. She unclipped Titan's lead. "Let me try talking first. Sometimes a canine presence changes people's minds real fast." She walked onto the pier with Titan at her heel. The dog's nails clicked against wood. His breathing stayed calm, professional. But something was different. Titan's ears had gone forward, his nose was working, and there was a tension in his body that Kate had never felt before. "Sir, this is Officer Jennings with the K9 unit. I need you to stand up slowly and turn around." The man didn't move, but his breathing had changed, deeper, like someone preparing for impact. "Sir, I have a trained police dog. If you don't comply, I will release him." Still nothing. Kate's patience snapped. "This is your final warning. Stand up now, or Titan makes you stand up. Please." The man's voice broke. "Please don't send the dog." Kate frowned. That wasn't fear. That was something else. Something that sounded like grief. "Then cooperate." "I can't." "Can't or won't?" "Both." Kate gave Titan the command. "Watch him." The German shepherd moved forward, positioning between Kate and the threat. His body language shifted into aggression mode. A growl rumbled in his chest. But something was wrong. Titan's tail was quivering. Not tucked, not straight, quivering. Kate had worked with this dog for 5 years. She'd never seen that before. "Last chance," she said. "Stand up or Titan takes you down." The man's shoulders dropped, like someone accepting fate. "I'm sorry, Echo," he whispered. Kate's breath caught. "What did you just say?" The man stood up, turned around, and his face, God, his face looked destroyed. Not injured, just emotionally devastated, like a man watching his own execution. "It's okay, boy." He was talking directly to Titan now. "It's okay. I know you don't remember me. It's been a long time." Titan's growl intensified. His hackles rose. Every line of his body screamed attack, but that tail kept quivering. "Sir, keep your hands up." Kate's training was screaming at her. "Don't move." "I won't hurt him." The man's eyes stayed locked on Titan. "I could never hurt him." "What are you talking about?" "That dog, Officer Jennings." The man's voice cracked. "He's not yours. He's mine." Kate's world tilted. "That's not possible. His name isn't Titan." Tears were streaming down the man's face now. "His name is Echo, and 5 years ago he saved my life in Afghanistan before an explosion that killed my entire team. They told me he died in that blast. They gave me his collar and told me to move on. But he didn't die, did he? Somehow he survived. And somehow the Navy brought him back here, gave him a new name, a new handler, and tried to make him forget everything." Kate's hand tightened on Titan's collar. "You're insane." "Check his microchip. Original designation K9E4. Handler Senior Chief Ryan Nelson. Status KIA." Brody stepped forward. "That's easy enough to verify." But before he could finish, the wind shifted. Just a small change in direction, just the fog moving differently. But for a dog with a nose that could detect individual molecules across miles, it was everything. The scent hit Titan like a physical blow. The growling stopped. The aggression vanished. And the most disciplined police canine in Oregon did something impossible. He whined. High. Desperate. Confused. The sound a dog makes when their entire world stops making sense. "Titan," Kate commanded. "Heel." But Titan wasn't Titan anymore. He was Echo, and Echo had just caught the scent of the handler he'd mourned for 5 years. "Easy, boy." Ryan dropped to one knee, his hands open. "I know I look different. I know I smell different. But it's me. It's really me." Echo took one trembling step forward. Kate tried to hold him back. "Titan, stop." But the dog was stronger. He pulled free and moved toward Ryan with slow, uncertain steps. His whole body was shaking, his nose working frantically. "Don't you remember?" Ryan's voice broke completely. "Don't you remember the night of the explosion you pushed me out of the way? You took the blast meant for me." Another step closer. "I looked for you." Ryan was sobbing now. "After I woke up in the hospital after they told me you were gone, I didn't believe them. I kept asking, kept searching. But they said your body was never recovered. They said the fire consumed everything." Echo was 3 feet away now, close enough to touch. His ears were back, his tail wagging uncertainly. "But you didn't die." Ryan's hands were shaking. "You survived, and they brought you back and gave you a new name and tried to make you forget me." Kate stood frozen. This was impossible. Canines were documented, tracked, microchipped. There was no way her partner was this man's dead combat dog. But then, Echo closed the final distance. He pressed his head against Ryan's chest, and from somewhere deep in his throat came a sound that wasn't a whine or a howl. It was grief. Pure, devastating grief. The sound of a soul recognizing another soul after an eternity of separation. Ryan's arms came around the dog, and he buried his face in Echo's fur and shook with sobs that came from somewhere so deep that Kate felt tears burning in her own eyes. "I missed you," Ryan whispered. "God, I missed you so much." Echo pressed harder against him, his tail wagging now, really wagging, and he was making sounds, whines and cries and little barks that sounded almost like words. "I remember. I remember. I remember you." Kate's knees went weak. "What the hell is happening?" Brody stood beside her, his face pale. "I don't know, but we need to—" "I have his collar," Ryan said without lifting his head. "In my truck. The one they gave me when they declared him KIA. It has his original ID tag, his microchip number, everything." "Where's your truck?" Kate's voice came out hoarse. "Service road, half-mile north." Kate swallowed hard. "We need to verify this. We need to—" A black SUV with government plates pulled up at the base of the pier. 2 people stepped out. A woman in a dark suit, a man in tactical gear. They moved with federal authority. The woman walked onto the pier like she owned it. 40s. Sharp-eyed. Dangerous. Senior Chief Ryan Nelson. Her voice cut through everything. "You were ordered to maintain operational security. This position is now compromised." Ryan looked up, his face still buried in Echo's fur. "Agent Rossi, of course they sent you." "Stand down, Senior Chief." "That's an order." "I'm retired." Ryan's voice turned cold. "I don't take orders anymore." "Your retirement is provisional and can be revoked." Kate stepped forward. "Who the hell are you?" Agent Rossi pulled out FBI credentials. "This man is part of an ongoing federal investigation. Clear the area, now." "Like hell." Kate's hand moved to Echo's collar. "This is my partner, my dog, and I want answers." "Your dog is military property on loan to your department." Agent Rossi's voice stayed flat. "His designation is K9E4 Combat Tracker SEAL Team Operations, reported KIA 5 years ago. Apparently that report was incorrect." Brody's jaw dropped. "Our K9 is classified military. Was classified. Not anymore." Agent Rossi looked at Ryan. "Because this idiot just blew 5 years of operational security in front of 40 civilians with cell phones." And that's when Kate realized people were recording. At least 30 phones pointed at them. The entire reunion had been captured. Within hours, this would be everywhere. "His microchip," Kate started, "was replaced during medical treatment." Agent Rossi interrupted. "Original records, sealed for security. The dog you know as Titan is legally U.S. Navy property." "No." Ryan stood up, putting himself between Agent Rossi and Echo. "He's not property. He's never been property. He's a soldier who served and nearly died. And if anyone has a claim on him, it's me." You were declared legally dead. Your record sealed. You agreed to this when you took the mission. I agreed to protect my country. Ryan's voice turned to steel. Not lose my partner. I'm done hiding. I'm done being a ghost. You're making this difficult. Good. The standoff stretched, tension building. Kate looked from Ryan to Agent Rossi to the dog pressed against Ryan's leg. Nothing made sense. Behind them, the crowd was growing, phones recording, people whispering. Whatever happened next would be very, very public. Agent Rossi's jaw tightened. She pulled out her phone, made a call in low-clipped tones. When she hung up, her expression had shifted. The situation has changed. She looked at Ryan. Containment is no longer viable. Given the public nature of this incident, we're moving to damage control. Senior Chief, you and the K-9 are coming in for debriefing. Officer Jennings, you're invited. Sheriff Miller, secure this scene. And then what? Ryan asked. Then we figure out what happens next. Agent Rossi gestured to the crowd. Because right now there are 40 people uploading footage of a supposedly dead SEAL reuniting with a supposedly dead K-9. Within an hour, this will be everywhere. So congratulations, Senior Chief. You just created a PR nightmare that requires intervention at levels way above my authority. Ryan looked down at Echo. A small smile touched his lips. Worth it, he whispered. Echo wagged his tail, really wagged it, with pure joy. The crowd parted as they walked back to shore. Ryan kept one hand on Echo's head. The dog pressed against his leg with every step. Kate walked on the other side, her mind racing. An elderly man stepped forward, gray beard, weathered face, Silas Blackwood, Port Blossom's oldest resident and a Vietnam veteran. Son, his voice was gravel and wisdom. What's your rank? Senior Chief Petty Officer, Navy SEAL. Silas nodded slowly. Then he did something unexpected. He saluted. Welcome home, sailor. Ryan's throat tightened. He returned the salute. Thank you, sir. Other veterans in the crowd followed. 5 men, all of them older, all of them understanding something the younger people didn't. What it meant to lose your battle buddy. What it meant to find them again. Ellie pushed through the crowd with coffee and a sandwich wrapped in paper. She pressed them into Ryan's hands. You've been sitting there for 7 hours, she said softly. You need to eat. Ryan stared at the food, then at her. Why are you being kind to me? Because you're not a threat. Ellie's eyes were wet. You're just a man who found the piece of his soul he thought was gone. Sarah appeared beside her mother. Is it true that dog saved your life? Twice. Ryan's voice cracked. Once in Afghanistan, and once today by remembering me when everyone else forgot. A teenage boy pushed forward, Leo, the kid who'd tried to talk to Ryan that morning. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen, he breathed. A dog remembering his soldier after 5 years. Ryan looked at the kid. You want to know what's really cool? What? Loyalty. Ryan's hand rested on Echo's head. Real loyalty doesn't care about time, doesn't care about distance, doesn't care what anyone says. It just knows, and it never quits. Leo's eyes went wide. I'm putting that on TikTok. Put this on there too. Ryan looked at the crowd. I spent 5 years thinking I'd lost the best partner I ever had. 5 years believing a lie because that's what I was told to believe. But he never forgot me. Even when they changed his name. Even when they gave him a new life. Somewhere deep inside he remembered. And today, when it mattered, that memory was stronger than all the training in the world. The crowd was silent. Phones still recording. Every word being captured. Agent Rossi stepped forward. That's enough, Senior Chief. No. Ryan's voice carried across the pier. It's not nearly enough. Because people need to understand something. These dogs, military working dogs, they're not equipment. They're not tools. They're soldiers. They serve. They sacrifice. And when their service is done, they deserve to come home to the people who love them. Echo barked. Once, sharp, like punctuation. The crowd laughed through their tears. Mr. Nelson. Brody cleared his throat. For what it's worth, I'm sorry I called you in. Don't be. Ryan met his eyes. You were doing your job, protecting your town. That's exactly what you should have done. But if I hadn't, then I never would have known. Ryan looked down at Echo. I would have seen you on patrol and convinced myself I was wrong. That grief was making me see things. I would have driven away and spent the rest of my life wondering. So thank you, Sheriff, for making me face this, for bringing him to me. Brody nodded slowly. What happens now? Now we find out if the United States Navy is going to let me keep my dog. Ryan's voice hardened. And if they try to take him from me again, we're going to have a problem. Agent Rossi stepped between them. Let's move this conversation somewhere less public. But before anyone could move, a woman pushed through the crowd. Late 20s, press badge, camera crew behind her. Senior Chief Nelson, I'm with Channel 7 News. Is it true that you and your K-9 were both declared killed in action 5 years ago? Agent Rossi moved to block her. No comment. This is an active... Yes. Ryan's voice cut through. That's true. Don't answer that. Agent Rossi snapped. Why not? Ryan looked at her. The truth's already out there. 40 people recorded this. It's probably already on YouTube. So yes, Echo and I were both declared KIA after an operation in Afghanistan. They told me he died in the explosion. They were wrong. The reporter's eyes gleamed. And the Navy never informed you he survived. They couldn't. Agent Rossi's voice turned sharp. Because Senior Chief Nelson was also declared KIA for operational security reasons. Both deaths were classified. The crowd gasped. Wait! The reporter pressed forward. You faked his death. We don't discuss classified operations. Agent Rossi's hand moved to her phone. This interview is over. But Ryan was done following orders. They didn't fake anything. I did die. Technically. Flatlined for 3 minutes after the explosion. When I came back, they offered me a choice: retire quietly and disappear, or take a new assignment that required me to be legally dead. I chose the mission. And part of that choice meant accepting that Echo was gone. But he wasn't gone. The reporter pressed. No. Ryan's voice broke. He survived the explosion, somehow. And while I was being resurrected for classified work, he was being recovered, treated, and reassigned. Neither of us knew the other was alive. Until today. Echo whined softly. Ryan's hand found his head. Senior Chief, if you could say anything to the people watching this, love your people while you have them. Ryan's words came out fierce and raw. Don't wait. Don't assume there's always tomorrow. Because sometimes people you love get taken from you. Sometimes you don't get to say goodbye. And if you're lucky, if you're really impossibly lucky, maybe you get a second chance. Maybe you get one more moment. Don't waste it. The reporter wiped her eyes. Thank you. Agent Rossi grabbed Ryan's arm. We're leaving. Now. Wait. Kate stepped forward. What happens to Echo? That's above your clearance level. He's my partner. Kate's voice shook. I've worked with him for 5 years, trusted him with my life. I deserve to know. You've been working with classified military property, Agent Rossi said. That partnership is terminated effective immediately. Like hell. Officer Jennings. No. Kate moved to stand beside Ryan. You don't get to do this. You don't get to rip partners apart because of paperwork. This dog, whether you call him Titan or Echo, has served this country for 10 years. He's earned the right to choose. Dogs don't choose. This one does. Kate looked at Echo. If I give him the release command, he's off duty. Free to go wherever he wants, and I'm guessing he wants to stay with his real handler. Agent Rossi's eyes narrowed. Don't. Watch me. Kate looked at Echo. Titan. Free. It was the command that ended a work shift, the signal that the dog was off duty and could relax. Echo's entire body language changed. He looked from Kate to Ryan. Then he pressed harder against Ryan's leg and sat down, claiming his position, making his choice. "There's your answer," Kate said softly. "He chooses Ryan." The crowd erupted in cheers. Agent Rossi's jaw clenched. She pulled out her phone and walked away, speaking in urgent tones. Silas Blackwood stepped forward again. "You know what I think." "What's that, sir?" Ryan asked. "I think the Navy's got a choice to make." Silas looked at the crowd. "They can try to take that dog from you and create the PR nightmare of the century. Or they can do the right thing and let two soldiers who've already given everything finally come home to each other." The crowd roared approval. "Sir," Ryan's voice was thick, "I don't know if it's that simple." "It should be." Silas gripped Ryan's shoulder. "You're a SEAL's son. I'm just an old Marine. But I know one thing: the mission isn't over until everyone comes home. And today, everyone finally came home." Echo barked again, louder this time, like he was agreeing. The crowd laughed and cheered, and someone started chanting, "Let him keep his dog! Let him keep his dog!" Others joined in. Within seconds, 40 voices were chanting in unison. Agent Rossi returned her face unreadable. She walked straight to Ryan. "I just spoke with my director, who spoke with Naval Special Warfare Command, who are currently dealing with this situation going viral on social media. And," Ryan's voice was steady, "and the Navy has decided that given the circumstances, the unique nature of this situation, and the overwhelming public interest." She paused. "K9E4 Echo is being retired from active service, effective immediately. Full honors, full benefits, and he's being released to your custody, Senior Chief Nelson." Ryan's knees almost buckled. "What?" "You heard me." Agent Rossi's expression softened just slightly. "Congratulations. You get to keep your dog." The crowd exploded, cheering, crying, hugging strangers. Ryan dropped to his knees and wrapped both arms around Echo. And this time he wasn't crying from grief. He was crying from joy, pure, overwhelming, impossible joy. "We get to go home," he whispered into Echo's fur. "We finally get to go home together." Echo licked his face and whined and pressed so close they were nearly one being. 5 years of separation, 5 years of grief, 5 years of believing the other was gone. Over. "There's a condition," Agent Rossi said. Ryan looked up. "What?" "Your mission here is terminated. You're being reassigned, and this time Echo comes with you." "Where?" "That's classified, but—" She glanced at the crowd. "It's not a combat assignment, it's training. You'll be working with new canine handlers, teaching them what you know about the bond between soldier and dog, making sure what happened to you and Echo never happens to anyone else." Ryan stood slowly. "You want me to train handlers? We want you to make sure every handler understands that these dogs are partners, not equipment, and that when the mission's over, they come home together." Ryan felt something crack open in his chest. A purpose. A mission that mattered. A way to honor everything he and Echo had been through. "I accept." Agent Rossi nodded. "Transport leaves in 30 minutes. Say your goodbyes." Ryan turned to the crowd, to Ellie and Sarah and Leo, to Brody and Kate, to Silas and the other veterans, to all these strangers who'd witnessed his reunion and turned it into something bigger. "Thank you," he said simply. "All of you. For caring. For recording this. For making your voices heard. You gave me back my best friend. I'll never forget that." Ellie stepped forward and hugged him. "You take care of that dog. Always." Kate approached next. Her eyes were red. "I'm sorry I didn't know. I'm sorry I called him the wrong name for 5 years." "You gave him a good life," Ryan said. "You kept him safe and trained and loved. That's all I could have asked for. He's a good dog. The best partner I ever had. Mine too. Ryan held out his hand. Thank you, Officer Jennings. For everything. Kate shook his hand. Then she knelt down and looked at Echo. You be good for your dad, okay? And don't forget me. Echo licked her face. Once. Gently. Like he understood. Leo pushed forward. Can I pet him? Ryan smiled. Go ahead. The kid dropped down and wrapped his arms around Echo's neck. You're a hero, you know that, you and Senior Chief. You're both heroes. You know what makes a hero, Leo? Ryan asked. What? Having good people watch your back, and being brave enough to remember who you love even when everyone tells you to forget. Ryan looked at Echo. This dog is braver than me. He never forgot. Even when they changed everything about him, some part of him held on to the memory of who I was. That's not training. That's love. Leo wiped his eyes. I'm definitely putting this on TikTok. Make sure you tell people the truth, Ryan said. That military working dogs are heroes, that they deserve to retire with the handlers they served with, and that love, real love, doesn't quit. I will. Leo stood up. I promise. Brody approached last. Senior Chief, I'm sorry for how I handled things earlier. You did fine, Sheriff. You protected your town. That's your job. I escalated when I should have de-escalated. You gave me back my dog. Ryan gripped Brody's shoulder. I'd say you did exactly what needed to happen. A Coast Guard helicopter appeared over the horizon, coming in low and fast. That's our ride, Agent Rossi said. Ryan looked at Echo. You ready to go home, boy? Echo barked. Once, sharp, clear, yes. They walked toward the landing zone together. Ryan kept one hand on Echo's head the entire time. The dog pressed against his leg with every step. Reunited. Finally. Completely. The helicopter touched down 50 yards away. The rotors whipped the fog into chaos. Ryan stopped at the edge of the crowd, turned back, raised his hand in salute. Every veteran in the crowd returned it. Then Ryan and Echo climbed into the helicopter together, and the door closed behind them, and the aircraft lifted into the sky, disappearing into the fog. But the story didn't end there. Because within 3 hours, the video of their reunion had been viewed 10 million times. Within 6 hours, let him keep. His dog was trending worldwide. Within 12 hours, the Navy released an official statement announcing new policies for retiring military working dogs with their handlers. And within 24 hours, Ryan, Nelson, and Echo became the faces of a movement that would change how America treated its four-legged veterans forever. But Ryan didn't know any of that yet. All he knew was that his best friend was pressed against his side, that they were finally going home together, and that some bonds, the ones forged in fire and blood and love, could survive anything, even death itself. 3 days later, a plaque appeared on the Port Blossom Pier. For the guardians who watch over us, seen and unseen, and for Echo and Ryan, who prove that loyalty never dies. And every single person who passed it remembered the day they witnessed a miracle, the day a dog remembered his soldier, and the day the world remembered that love is the strongest force on earth. The helicopter ride lasted 47 minutes. Ryan counted every one of them. Echo sat pressed against his leg, trembling slightly from the rotor noise, but refusing to move away. Ryan kept one hand on the dog's head, grounding them both. Agent Rossi sat across from them, typing rapidly on an encrypted tablet. She hadn't spoken since they'd lifted off. That silence was its own kind of warning. When they finally descended, Ryan looked out the window expecting to see a military base. Instead, he saw something that made his stomach drop. A private compound. High walls. No visible signage. The kind of place that didn't officially exist. "Where are we?" Ryan shouted over the rotors. Agent Rossi didn't answer until they'd landed and the engines had powered down. Then she looked at him with an expression that might have been sympathy. "Somewhere we can talk without the world watching." That's when Ryan knew. This wasn't a debriefing. This was damage control. They were escorted into a concrete building by two armed guards who didn't make eye contact. Echo stayed glued to Ryan's side, his training warring with his instinct. The dog wanted to relax now that he'd found his handler, but every military bone in his body was screaming that they were walking into a threat assessment situation. Smart dog. He was right. Agent Rossi led them down a hallway and into a conference room. Gray walls, steel table, 3 chairs, and sitting in one of them was a man Ryan had hoped never to see again. Admiral James Cortlandt, commander of Naval Special Warfare. The man who'd signed Ryan's death certificate 5 years ago. Senior Chief. The Admiral's voice was exactly as Ryan remembered, cold, precise, and utterly devoid of warmth. Sit down. Ryan remained standing. With all due respect, sir, I'm retired. You can't order me to do anything. Your retirement is conditional on operational security, which you just violated in front of 40 civilians and half the internet. The Admiral's eyes were hard. So, yes, Senior Chief, I can order you to sit down, and you will comply. Ryan felt Echo press harder against his leg. The dog sensed the tension, was calculating threat levels. Ryan made his decision. He sat, but he didn't let go of Echo. Good. Admiral Cortlandt leaned forward. Now let's discuss the mess you just created. I created... Ryan's voice stayed level. You told me my dog was dead. You let me believe that for 5 years. You lied to my face at his memorial service. We told you what you needed to believe to complete your mission. My mission was surveillance, not surrender my right to know my partner survived. Your partner was classified military property that had been reassigned. His name is Echo. Ryan's hand tightened on the dog's fur. And he's not property. Admiral Cortlandt's jaw clenched. Senior Chief, you need to understand something. When you accepted the assignment that required your legal death, you surrendered certain rights, including the right to know classified information about assets from your previous life. Echo wasn't an asset. He was my partner. He was both. The Admiral pulled out a file and slid it across the table. And his survival wasn't the only thing we didn't tell you. Ryan stared at the classified stamp on the folder. Something cold crawled down his spine. What does that mean? Open it. Ryan's hands shook as he reached for the file. Echo whined softly, sensing his handler's distress. Agent Rossi watched from her position by the door, her face unreadable. Ryan opened the folder. The first page was a medical report, Echo's medical report, from the night of the explosion. Severe burns, smoke inhalation, fractured ribs, punctured lung. The injuries went on for 3 pages. Echo should have died that night. By all accounts, he'd been minutes from death when the recovery team found him. But he hadn't died. Because of what was on page 4. Ryan's breath stopped. What the hell is this? Read it carefully, Admiral Cortlandt said. The document was a consent form, signed by Naval Special Warfare Command, authorizing experimental medical treatment for K9E4, treatment that had never been used on a military working dog before, treatment that had saved Echo's life. But at what cost? You experimented on him. Ryan's voice came out strangled. While I was unconscious in a hospital, you used my dog as a test subject. We saved his life, Admiral Cortlandt corrected. The treatment worked. He survived, made a full recovery, and went on to serve 5 more years with distinction. What kind of treatment? The Admiral hesitated. For the first time, his perfect control slipped slightly. That hesitation told Ryan everything he needed to know. Whatever they'd done to Echo, it wasn't standard veterinary care. Answer me, Ryan demanded. Experimental neural regeneration therapy. Agent Rossi spoke from the door. Developed for human soldiers with traumatic brain injuries, never tested on animals before Echo. Ryan felt the room tilt. You used brain surgery on my dog. We used cutting-edge medicine to save a valuable asset, Admiral Cortlandt said. The therapy worked. It regenerated damaged neural pathways. allowed him to regain full cognitive function. "And what didn't you tell me?" Ryan's voice dropped to something dangerous. "What went wrong?" The silence that followed was answer enough. "Tell me." Ryan's hand found Echo's head. The dog looked up at him with those dark, intelligent eyes, eyes that had seen war and death and somehow still trusted humans. "Tell me what you did to him." Admiral Cortland pulled out another document. This one wasn't in the file. This one he'd been keeping separate. The neural regeneration therapy had an unexpected side effect. It enhanced his cognitive abilities beyond normal canine parameters. His memory became nearly perfect. His problem-solving skills increased dramatically. His emotional intelligence, his ability to read human behavior and intent became almost supernatural. Ryan stared at the Admiral. "You're saying you accidentally made my dog smarter. We're saying we inadvertently created the most intelligent canine in military history." Agent Rossi moved closer. "Echo doesn't just follow command's senior chief. He understands them. He processes complex situations. He makes tactical decisions that most human soldiers couldn't make. And you never told me this because it's classified," Admiral Cortland interrupted. "And because if other nations knew we'd successfully enhanced a military working dog's intelligence, it would trigger an arms race. Everyone would want their own super soldier dogs." Ryan looked down at Echo. Down. The dog was watching him intently, his head tilted slightly. And in that moment, Ryan saw the intelligence behind those eyes. The awareness. Echo wasn't just remembering Ryan. He was understanding the entire situation, reading the tension, calculating responses. His dog had always been smart, but this was different. "How long have you known?" Ryan asked quietly. "We started noticing anomalies about 6 months after his recovery," Agent Rossi said. "He was completing training exercises faster than any K9 on record, anticipating scenarios before they happened. Once during a training exercise, he actually disobeyed a direct command because he'd assessed that his handler was wrong about the threat location. He was right. He saved 3 soldiers that day by trusting his own judgment over his training." "That's why you assigned him to Port Blossom," Ryan said slowly. "Small town, low profile, somewhere you could monitor him without drawing attention." Officer Jennings was hand-selected, Admiral Cortland confirmed. She had no idea about Echo's background or abilities. "We needed to see how he'd perform in civilian law enforcement without the pressure of military operations. And when I saw him yesterday, we didn't know you were in the area." Agent Rossi's voice carried genuine regret. "Your mission parameters kept you 90 miles north. You weren't supposed to be in Port Blossom." Ryan's jaw clenched. "I changed my surveillance route. Followed a hunch about the smuggling operation. Pure coincidence that I ended up there." "Coincidence." Admiral Cortland's voice was flat. "Or Echo drawing you there." The words hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. "What?" Ryan whispered. "We've been monitoring Echo's behavior patterns for 5 years." The Admiral pulled out another document. "In the past 6 months, he's been increasingly agitated during patrols, always pulling toward the north end of town, the end where the pier is located. Officer Jennings reported it as unusual behavior but not problematic." "You think he was looking for me?" Ryan's voice cracked. "We think some part of him knew you were alive." Agent Rossi moved to the table. "The neural regeneration enhanced his memory, including memories that should have been impossible to retain. He remembers everything, Senior Chief, every mission, every moment, every second you spent together. And when you got within a certain radius, something in his enhanced cognitive processing recognized your presence." Ryan's hand was shaking now. "He knew I was near." "We believe so. And when you sat on that pier for 7 hours, you were emitting stress pheromones. Familiar ones. Echo would have caught them on the wind long before you two came face to face." "That's why he recognized me so fast," Ryan breathed. "He'd been tracking my scent all morning." "Exactly." Ryan looked at Echo, and the dog stared back with those impossibly intelligent eyes, and Ryan understood. His partner hadn't just remembered him through some miracle of loyalty. Echo's enhanced brain had been searching for him, processing information, following invisible trails that only he could detect. "Why are you telling me this now?" Ryan asked. Admiral Cortland leaned back. "Because the program that created Echo's enhancements is about to be declassified. In 3 months, we're presenting findings to congressional oversight, which means Echo becomes public knowledge, which means you need to understand exactly what you're dealing with. I'm dealing with my dog. You're dealing with a classified military asset with enhanced cognitive abilities that make him valuable to enemy intelligence services." The Admiral's voice hardened. "Do you understand what I'm saying, Senior Chief? If the wrong people find out what Echo is, they'll try to take him, study him, reverse engineer what we did, and they won't be gentle about it." Ryan's blood went cold. "You're saying he's in danger?" "I'm saying you're both in danger now that the world knows you exist." Agent Rossi pulled up a chair. "The video of your reunion has been viewed 50 million times. Your face is everywhere. Echo's face is everywhere. And there are people, nations, organizations, private interests who would pay millions to get their hands on a dog with enhanced intelligence." "Then why did you let me keep him?" Ryan's voice rose. "Why not take him back to a secure facility?" "Because we tried that for 5 years and it didn't work." Admiral Cortland's expression softened fractionally. "Echo's performance metrics have been declining for 18 months. He's slower to respond, less engaged. Officer Jennings reported increasing stubbornness. We believe he's been experiencing depression." Ryan felt something crack in his chest. "He was mourning me." "Yes, and no amount of training or care from Officer Jennings could replace what he'd lost. So we made a calculated decision. If reuniting you two improves his mental state and makes him more effective, then keeping you together serves our interests." "You're using him." Ryan's voice turned to ice. "Still." "We're giving you both a chance to serve together again," Agent Rossi corrected. "The training position we offered is real. You'll be teaching new canine handlers, but you'll also be helping us understand Echo's enhanced abilities. What works, what doesn't, how to replicate it safely. And if I refuse, then Echo goes back into classified custody." Admiral Cortland's voice was steel. "And you disappear again, permanently this time." Ryan looked at Echo. The dog's tail thumped once against the floor, trusting, waiting. He'd just gotten his partner back. The idea of losing him again. "What do you need from me?" Ryan asked quietly. "Cooperation, discretion, and your expertise." Agent Rossi pulled out a tablet. "We're building a new canine program, one that prioritizes the handler-dog bond, that ensures what happened to you and Echo never happens to anyone else. You'll help design it, train the first generation of handlers, and in exchange, Echo stays with you, protected, safe. For how long? For as long as you both can work. After that?" Admiral Cortland paused. "Echo retires fully, with you. No exceptions." It wasn't a perfect deal, but it was better than losing Echo again. "I accept," Ryan said. "On one condition." "Name it." "If anything happens to me, Echo goes to Officer Kate Jennings. Not back to military custody. Not to some lab. To Kate. She's earned that right." Agent Rossi and Admiral Cortland exchanged a look, some silent communication passing between them. "Agreed," the Admiral said finally. "Do we have a deal, Senior Chief?" Ryan looked at Echo one more time. The dog's tail wagged faster. Like he understood. Like he was saying yes for both of them. "We have a deal." But what Ryan didn't know was that sitting in a surveillance van 3 miles away, someone else had been listening to every word of that conversation. Someone who'd been tracking Echo's enhanced abilities for 2 years. Someone who'd just heard confirmation that the rumors were true. and someone who was already making plans to take Echo for themselves no matter what it cost. The training facility was located in the mountains of Colorado, remote, secure, beautiful in a way that made Ryan's chest ache. Echo seemed to feel it too. The moment they arrived, the dog's entire demeanor changed. His tail never stopped wagging. He ran through the open spaces like a puppy free in a way Ryan hadn't seen in years. "He's happy," Agent Rossi observed. She'd stayed with them for the transition, making sure everything went smoothly. "He's home," Ryan corrected. "Real home. Not a kennel, not a patrol car, just space to breathe. You have 6 weeks before the first class of handlers arrives." She handed him a folder. "Use that time to get reacquainted, to understand his new abilities, and to prepare yourself for what's coming." "What's coming?" Agent Rossi's expression darkened. "Attention, Senior Chief. Whether we want it or not. That video made you both famous. There will be requests for interviews, offers for book deals, movie producers, and buried in all that noise there will be threats, people who want to use you, or hurt you, or take what you have. We can handle it." "I hope so." She turned to leave, then paused. "One more thing. Echo's medical files are in that folder. Read them carefully. There are protocols you need to follow, supplements he needs, warning signs to watch for." "Warning signs of what?" "We don't know the long-term effects of the neural regeneration therapy. It's possible there could be complications, seizures, personality changes, memory loss." She met his eyes. "The treatment saved his life, but it's still experimental. You need to be prepared for anything." Ryan's hand found Echo's head automatically. "How long does he have?" "We don't know that either. Could be years. Could be decades. The therapy might even have extended his lifespan. We're in uncharted territory." Agent Rossi's voice softened. "But whatever happens, you'll face it together. That's more than most people get." She left before Ryan could respond. He stood there in the fading sunlight, his hand on Echo's head, and read the medical files. Page after page of technical jargon and experimental data. But buried in all the science was a simple truth. His dog was a medical miracle, and miracles always came with a price. The question was what that price would be. The first week passed in a blur of relearning each other. Ryan discovered that Echo understood hand signals he'd never been taught, could anticipate Ryan's movements before he made them. Once Ryan tested it, thought about throwing a ball left, but didn't move. Echo positioned himself left anyway. The dog was reading his body language at a level that seemed almost psychic. "You can practically read my mind, can't you?" Ryan said one evening. Echo tilted his head. His tail wagged once. Ryan laughed, but something about it unsettled him. How much of Echo was still dog? How much was something else? He pushed the thought away. Echo was his partner. Enhanced or not, that wouldn't change. But on day 9, something happened that made Ryan question everything. He was running Echo through basic recall commands when his phone rang. Unknown number. Ryan ignored it and continued training. Echo stopped mid-exercise, sat down, stared at the phone. "Echo, come." The dog didn't move, just kept staring at the phone with an intensity that made Ryan's skin crawl. "What is it, boy?" The phone rang again, same unknown number. Echo growled, low, dangerous. The kind of growl he used before an attack. Ryan picked up the phone slowly. "Hello?" Silence on the other end. But not empty silence. Someone was there, listening, breathing. "Who is this?" Ryan demanded. The line went dead. Echo's growl intensified. His hackles were up. Every line of his body screamed threat assessment. "Easy." Ryan knelt beside him. "It's okay, just a wrong number." But Echo wouldn't relax. He kept staring at the phone like it was a live grenade, and Ryan realized with growing dread that his enhanced dog had somehow sensed danger through a phone call, had detected something in the silence that Ryan's human ears couldn't catch. What else could Echo sense that Ryan couldn't? The calls continued over the next week, always from unknown numbers, always silent, always triggering the same violent reaction from Echo. On the fifth call, Ryan contacted Agent Rossi. "We're tracking it," she said immediately. "The calls are being routed through multiple proxies. Whoever's making them knows how to hide their location. Why would someone call just to stay silent? They're confirming you're there, establishing patterns, figuring out your schedule." Ryan's blood ran cold. Someone's planning something. "We think so. I'm sending a security team to your location. They'll be there in 3 hours. But 3 hours was too long. Because at that moment, Echo's head snapped toward the window. His body went rigid, and a sound came from his throat that Ryan had only heard once before in Afghanistan, seconds before an ambush. "We have incoming," Ryan said into the phone. "Echo's alerting. Get to the safe room, now!" But Ryan was already moving. He grabbed his go-bag old habits from his SEAL days and whistled for Echo. The dog was beside him in an instant, pressed against his leg, guiding him toward the reinforced interior room that Agent Rossi had shown him on day 1. They made it halfway across the compound when the power went out. Complete darkness, no emergency lights, no backup generator, professional work. "Echo close." The dog pressed harder against his leg. Ryan could feel Echo's muscles coiled tight, ready to attack or defend. His enhanced intelligence was processing the situation faster than Ryan could think it through. Footsteps, multiple sets, coming from 3 different directions. Ryan pulled his backup weapon, a Glock 19 he'd kept from his Navy days, chambered around. Echo's growl was a constant rumble now. "I know you're there." A voice called out from the darkness, male, accented, Eastern European. "We just want the dog, Mr. Nelson. Give him to us and you walk away." "Not happening," Ryan called back. "You don't understand what you have. That animal is worth millions. You're wasting him on training exercises and publicity tours. We can utilize his full potential." "He's not for sale." "Everything's for sale." The voice moved closer. "You have 10 seconds to reconsider. After that, we take him by force, and you won't survive the extraction." Ryan's finger tightened on the trigger. "You'll have to kill me first." "That can be arranged." Muzzle flash in the darkness. Ryan dropped and rolled, returning fire. Echo launched forward with a snarl that sounded almost human in its rage. Screaming. A man's voice cut off abruptly, the wet sound of teeth meeting flesh. More gunfire. Ryan fired twice more, heard a body hit the floor. Echo was beside him again, breathing hard, his muzzle wet with blood. "Good boy," Ryan whispered. But they weren't done. Ryan could hear more movement, at least 3 more hostiles, maybe more, and he only had 11 rounds left. His phone buzzed. Text from Agent Rossi. "Security team ETA 12 minutes, hold position." 12 minutes might as well be 12 hours. "Echo." Ryan's voice dropped to the tactical register they'd used in combat. "Hunt." The dog disappeared into the darkness like smoke. Ryan heard footsteps trying to track Echo's position. Heard confusion in their voices. They couldn't find him. Echo's enhanced intelligence made him predict their movements, stay always 1 step ahead. Another scream. Another body falling. But then Ryan heard something that made his heart stop. Echo yelping in pain. "Got him!" a voice shouted. "He's tagged." Ryan was moving before conscious thought, following Echo's sounds, his finger on the trigger, ready to kill anyone who'd hurt his dog. He found them in what used to be the training room. 2 men, one holding a cattle prod, the other aiming a tranquilizer rifle at Echo, who was on the ground twitching from the electrical shock. Ryan fired twice. Both men dropped. He was beside Echo in seconds, his hands running over the dog's body, checking for injuries. Echo was breathing hard, disoriented, but alive. "I've got you," Ryan whispered. "I've got you." Echo whined softly, licked Ryan's hand, trying to say he was okay, even though Ryan could see the burns from the cattle prod. Sirens in the distance. The security team was close. But the assault had proven something terrifying. People knew about Echo, knew what he was worth, and they were willing to kill to take him. This wasn't over. This was just beginning. The security team arrived 6 minutes later. They found 3 bodies, 2 unconscious men, and Ryan holding Echo in the darkness while his dog trembled against him. Agent Rossi showed up an hour after that, her face grim. "The 2 survivors are talking," she said. "Private military contractors, hired by someone who wanted Echo alive. They won't say who." "How did they find us?" Ryan demanded. "This location is classified." "We're investigating. But Senior Chief," she paused, "this is what I warned you about. Echo is valuable. And now that the world knows he exists, people will come for him. This won't be the last attempt." Ryan looked at his dog. Echo was bandaged now, resting, but his eyes were alert, still processing, still calculating threats. "Then we need to be ready. We need to consider alternative options." Agent Rossi knelt beside them. "There's a secure facility in Montana, underground, completely off-grid. We could move you both there. Full military protection. No one would find you." "You mean a cage?" Ryan's voice was flat. "You want to lock us up?" "I want to keep you alive." "No." Ryan's hand found Echo's head. "We didn't survive 5 years apart just to spend the rest of our lives hiding. If people want to come for us, let them come. We'll handle it." "Senior Chief, we're not running." Ryan met her eyes. "But we are changing the plan. The training program starts now, not in 6 weeks. Now, get me every canine handler you can find. Military, law enforcement, search and rescue, I don't care. Bring them here and I'll teach them everything I know about the bond between handler and dog, about loyalty that survives death, about fighting together." Agent Rossi stared at him. "You want to build an army?" "I want to build a family." Ryan's voice was steel now. "Because the people who came tonight, they saw Echo as a weapon, as property, as something to steal and exploit. But everyone who works with military dogs needs to understand the truth. These animals aren't tools. They're partners. They're brothers. And you don't abandon your brother. Ever." A slow smile crossed Agent Rossi's face. "The Admiral's going to hate this." "Good." She pulled out her phone. "I'll make the calls. But Senior Chief, you better be ready. What you're proposing, creating a program built entirely on the handler-dog bond, it's going to change everything." "That's the point." Agent Rossi left to make arrangements. Ryan sat with Echo in the darkness, listening to his dog's breathing, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "We're going to make sure no one else goes through what we did," Ryan whispered. "Every handler will know their dog comes first, always. And every dog will know their handler will never abandon them. That's the promise, Echo. That's what we're building." Echo's tail thumped once against the floor. It was enough. But what neither of them knew was that the attack tonight had been just a test. A way to assess their defenses, to understand how they fought together, to gather data. And the person who'd ordered that test was watching the footage right now, studying every move, every tactic, every weakness. Smiling. Because the next attempt wouldn't be about kidnapping Echo. It would be about breaking him. And the person who'd ordered the attack knew exactly how to do that by taking away the one thing Echo loved most. Ryan. The first class of handlers arrived 2 weeks later. 15 men and women from various military branches and law enforcement agencies. They came expecting standard canine training protocols. They got something completely different. Ryan stood in front of them on the first morning with Echo at his side. He didn't use a podium, didn't hand out manuals, just looked each handler in the eyes and said, "Your dog is not a tool. Your dog is not a weapon. Your dog is not property. Your dog is your partner, your brother, your family. And if you can't understand that difference, you need to leave right now." No one moved. "Good." Ryan's hand rested on Echo's head. "Because for the next 8 weeks, I'm going to teach you something they don't cover in standard training. I'm going to teach you how to love your dog so completely that they'll follow you into hell, and how to earn their trust so deeply that they'll bring you back out again." One handler raised his hand. "Young kid, Air Force. Sir, with all due respect, we already love our dogs." "Do you?" Ryan's voice was gentle but challenging. "Would you die for them?" "Yes, sir." "Would you give up your career for them, your reputation, your freedom?" The kid hesitated. "That's what I thought." Ryan looked around the room. "I sat on a pier for 7 hours waiting to confirm if a dog I saw was my partner who'd supposedly died 5 years ago. When I was ordered to walk away, I refused. When they threatened to arrest me, I stayed. And when that dog finally recognized me, I chose him over my mission, over my orders, over everything." He let that sink in. "That's the standard I'm setting. That's what I'm asking from you. Not just obedience, not just affection, but love so fierce that nothing, not orders, not danger, not even death, can make you abandon your partner." The room was silent. "If you can't give that," Ryan continued, "then you don't deserve the loyalty these dogs offer, because they'll give you everything. Die for you without hesitation. Follow you into combat knowing they might not come back, and the absolute minimum you owe them in return is the same commitment." Echo barked once, sharp, like punctuation. The handlers laughed nervously, and Ryan smiled. "Let's get started." Over the next weeks, Ryan rebuilt K9 training from the ground up. He threw out the old manuals that treated dogs as equipment. Instead, he taught handlers to read their dog's body language, to understand their emotions, to communicate through trust rather than domination. He made them sleep beside their dogs, eat with their dogs, run with their dogs until they couldn't tell where handler ended and K9 began. And slowly something remarkable happened. The handlers transformed. They stopped seeing their dogs as assignments and started seeing them as the most important relationship in their lives. The bonds deepened. The trust became absolute. One night, a handler named Sarah Martinez approached Ryan. "Sir, I need to tell you something." "Go ahead." "Before this training, I liked my dog. I thought we had a good partnership. But tonight, during the trust exercise, when I had to fall backward and rely on him to catch me." Her voice cracked. "I understood. For the first time, I really understood. He would die for me, and I would die for him. That's not just training. That's love." Ryan put his hand on her shoulder. "Now you get it." "Thank you, sir." She wiped her eyes. "For teaching us this. For changing everything." But not everyone was happy with Ryan's revolution. On week 5, Admiral Cortlandt showed up unannounced. He watched a training session in silence, his face unreadable. When it was over, he pulled Ryan aside. "This isn't what we discussed, Senior Chief." "It's exactly what we discussed. I'm training handlers." "You're creating a cult." The Admiral's voice was hard. "These people worship their dogs now. That's not healthy. That's not professional." "They love their dogs," Ryan corrected. "The way all handlers should. The way I love Echo. And look what that love cost you. Your career, your identity, 5 years of your life. It also saved me." Ryan met the Admiral's eyes. "When I thought Echo was dead, I had nothing. No purpose, no joy. Just missions and orders and empty days. But he's alive. And now I have everything. So yes, sir, I'm teaching these handlers to love their dogs the way I love mine. Because that love is the only thing that makes this job worth doing." Admiral Cortlandt stared at him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, his expression softened. "You really believe that?" "Yes, sir." "Then God help you, Senior Chief. Because the military doesn't run on love. It runs on discipline and sacrifice. And what you're building this brotherhood of handlers who put their dogs above orders, it's going to cause problems. Good problems, Ryan said. The kind that save lives. The Admiral left without another word. But Ryan knew the conversation wasn't over. The Navy was watching, evaluating, deciding if this program was brilliant or dangerous. Echo pressed against Ryan's leg, offering silent support. "We're doing the right thing," Ryan whispered. Echo's tail wagged. It was all the confirmation Ryan needed. On the final day of training, Ryan stood in front of the 15 handlers and their dogs. 8 weeks had transformed them. They moved as units now, human and canine perfectly synchronized. "You came here as handlers," Ryan said. "You're leaving as partners. Remember what I taught you. Your dog isn't beneath you. They're beside you, always." The handlers nodded, many wiping their eyes. "And if you ever face a choice between following orders and protecting your dog, I want you to think about something." Ryan's voice dropped. 5 years ago, my superiors told me Echo was dead. They lied to protect classified information. They let me grieve. Let me believe I'd lost the most important relationship in my life, and they did it because they thought the mission was more important than one dog. He paused, letting that sink in. They were wrong. The mission is never more important than your partner. Because without your partner, you're just following orders. But with them, you're protecting family, and family is worth breaking rules for. Sarah Martinez raised her hand. "Sir, are you telling us to disobey orders? I'm telling you to love your dogs more than you fear consequences." Ryan looked at each handler. "Because someday, you might face the same choice I did. And when that moment comes, I want you to remember this: loyalty doesn't follow orders. Loyalty follows the heart. Choose your dog, every single time." The room erupted in applause. Ryan had just created something the military had never seen before, a generation of handlers who would put their dogs above everything else. It was beautiful. It was revolutionary. And it was about to make Ryan a target for forces he never saw coming. Because while Ryan was training handlers to love their dogs, someone else was training operatives to exploit that love. And the next attack on Echo wouldn't come with guns or cattle prods. It would come with something far more dangerous. Betrayal. The betrayal came from someone Ryan trusted. Dr. Michael Chen had been assigned to the training facility 6 weeks earlier. Naval veterinarian. Impeccable credentials. Quiet professional, and genuinely seemed to care about the dogs. He'd spent hours with Echo running routine checkups, monitoring the long-term effects of the neural regeneration therapy. Ryan had liked him immediately. That was the first mistake. It started small. Echo's medication dosage changed slightly. Dr. Chen explained it was a routine adjustment based on recent blood work. Ryan didn't question it. Why would he? The man was a professional. Then Echo started sleeping more. Longer naps, slower to wake up. "Normal for a dog his age with his medical history," Dr. Chen assured him. "The neural regeneration takes a toll. His brain works harder than normal dogs. He needs more rest." Ryan accepted that explanation too. But on week 7, Sarah Martinez pulled him aside after a training session. "Sir, something's wrong with Echo." Ryan's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" During the scent detection exercise, he was off, slower. He missed 2 targets he should have found easily. Sarah's voice was worried. "My dog found them in under a minute. Echo took 5. That's not like him." Ryan had noticed it too, but had been telling himself it was nothing. Just fatigue. Just adjustment to civilian life. Now he couldn't ignore it anymore. He found Dr. Chen in the medical facility that evening. The veterinarian was preparing medication doses for the next day. "We need to talk about Echo," Ryan said. Dr. Chen looked up, his expression professionally concerned. "Is he having issues?" "He's sluggish. Missing things he shouldn't miss. You said the medication was routine, but I'm starting to think something's wrong. Let me run some tests. Dr. Chen moved toward his computer. I'll check his latest blood work against baseline. If there's a problem, we'll catch it. But as Ryan watched the veterinarian work, something nagged at him. An instinct honed by 12 years of special operations. The kind of instinct that kept you alive when everything else failed. Dr. Chen's hands were shaking. Just slightly, but enough. How long have you been assigned here? Ryan asked casually. 6 weeks. Dr. Chen didn't look up from the computer. Why? Just curious. Where were you stationed before this? Naval Station Norfolk. 3 years. The veterinarian's voice was steady, but his shoulders had tensed. Senior Chief, I need to focus on these results. Ryan's hand drifted toward his phone. Something was wrong. He couldn't articulate it, but every alarm in his head was screaming. Actually, Doc, I think I'll call Agent Rossi. Get her opinion on Echo's condition. Dr. Chen's fingers froze on the keyboard. For just a second. But it was enough. That's not necessary, he said quickly. I'm sure it's nothing serious. Humor me. Ryan pulled out his phone. And that's when Dr. Chen moved. He grabbed a syringe from the counter and spun toward Ryan with desperate speed. Ryan's training kicked in instantly. He dodged left, but the syringe caught his shoulder, plunging through fabric and skin. Whatever was in that syringe hit Ryan's bloodstream like fire. His legs went numb. His vision blurred. He dropped to his knees, phone clattering across the floor. I'm sorry. Dr. Chen's voice was genuine regret. They have my daughter. They said if I didn't do this, they'd kill her. I didn't have a choice. Ryan tried to speak, but his tongue wouldn't work. His body was shutting down, paralyzed but conscious. The worst kind of helpless. Dr. Chen knelt beside him. The medication I've been giving Echo isn't killing him. It's preparing him, making him docile, easier to transport. In 20 minutes, a team is coming to extract him. They'll take him somewhere I don't know, use him for something I don't want to imagine. And you, his voice cracked. You weren't supposed to be here tonight. This wasn't supposed to happen. Ryan's mind was screaming, but his body wouldn't respond. He couldn't move, couldn't shout, couldn't warn anyone. Dr. Chen stood and walked to a cabinet, pulled out a carrier crate, then left the room presumably to get Echo. Ryan lay on the cold floor, rage and terror warring in his paralyzed chest. This couldn't happen. He hadn't survived 5 years of separation just to lose Echo to kidnappers now. But his body wouldn't obey. The paralytic was too strong. He heard footsteps returning. Dr. Chen's voice low and coaxing. Come on, boy. Just a quick checkup. That's it. Echo's nails clicking on the floor. The dog was walking slower than normal. The medication was working. They were going to take his partner. And Ryan couldn't do anything to stop it, unless Ryan focused every ounce of will on his right hand. The paralytic was strong, but not perfect. His fingers twitched, just barely, but enough to brush against the phone that had fallen beside him. The screen lit up. Emergency call option. Ryan's finger moved a centimeter, then another, like pushing through concrete. His entire world narrowed to that single motion. Dr. Chen entered the room with Echo on a leash. The dog's movements were lethargic, his eyes half closed. But when Echo saw Ryan on the floor, something changed. The medication didn't matter anymore. Echo lunged forward with a snarl that made Dr. Chen stumble backward. The leash ripped from his hands. Echo was beside Ryan in seconds, whining frantically, licking his face, trying to understand why his handler wasn't moving. Echo, no! Dr. Chen reached for the leash. Echo spun on him with teeth bared. The veterinarian froze, and Ryan's finger finally found the emergency call button. The phone dialed automatically. Security dispatch. This is automated emergency alert from Senior Chief Ryan Nelson's phone. A computerized voice announced. Medical emergency detected. Dispatching response team. Dr. Chen's face went pale. No. No, no, no. He grabbed for the phone, but Echo blocked him, snapping at his hands. The veterinarian backed away, his face a mask of panic and regret. They're going to kill my daughter. His voice broke. You don't understand. These people, they don't make empty threats. If I don't deliver Echo in... He checked his watch. 18 minutes she dies. Ryan's finger twitched again, this time toward the speaker button. Where? The word came out slurred but audible. Where is she? Dr. Chen looked at him with desperate hope. Denver. They're holding her in Denver, an apartment building on Colfax Avenue. I have the address but no unit number. They move her every 6 hours. Call Rossi. Ryan forced the words out. They'll kill her before anyone gets there. No. Ryan's lips barely moved. Trade. Me. For her. Dr. Chen stared at him. What? Take me. Ryan's voice was getting stronger as his body fought off the paralytic. Instead of Echo, tell them, you have the handler. More valuable. They want the dog. They want leverage. Ryan managed to lift his head slightly. I'm bigger leverage. Test subject. Hostage. Bait for Echo. Tell them. Understanding dawned in Dr. Chen's eyes. You're offering yourself as replacement. Yes, call them now. Dr. Chen pulled out a burner phone with shaking hands. Dialed. Someone answered immediately. There's been a complication, Doctor, Chen said. Security alert triggered. Can't extract the dog without compromising the entire mission. But... He looked at Ryan. I have the handler, the SEAL, the one from the viral video. He's sedated and helpless. Worth more than the dog. A pause. Dr. Chen listening. Yes, I'm sure. He's the key to controlling the dog anyway. You take him, the dog will follow. It's a better play. Another pause. Longer this time. Understood. I'll have him ready. Dr. Chen hung up and looked at Ryan. They're considering it. But Senior Chief, if I hand you over to these people, better me than Echo. Ryan's strength was returning faster now, his body adapting to the drug, fighting through it. And your daughter lives. They'll torture you for information. Let them try. Dr. Chen's eyes filled with tears. I never wanted this. I'm a healer. I save animals. I don't... His voice broke. I don't kidnap heroes. Then be a hero yourself. Ryan managed to get his elbow under him, pushed himself to sitting. Save your daughter, but give me a chance to save Echo. How you'll be their prisoner. Echo will find me. Ryan looked at his dog, who was pressed against him, whining softly. His enhanced intelligence, his tracking ability. He'll figure out where I am. And when he does, he'll bring help. It was a desperate plan, built on faith and hope, and the unbreakable bond between a man and his dog. But it was all they had. The burner phone rang. Dr. Chen answered, listened, then nodded. They agree. They want you instead. Extraction in 15 minutes. He looked at Ryan. I'm sorry for all of this. Save your daughter, Ryan said. Then turn yourself in to Agent Rossi. Tell her everything. She'll protect you. How do you know? Because that's what good people do. Ryan's hand found Echo's head. And despite everything, I think you're a good person in an impossible situation. Dr. Chen's face crumpled. Thank you. Sirens in the distance. The security response was coming, but they'd be too late. Ryan looked at Echo, really looked at him. The dog's eyes were clearer now, the medication wearing off. And in those enhanced, impossibly intelligent eyes, Ryan saw understanding. Echo knew what was about to happen. Knew Ryan was sacrificing himself. Listen to me, boy. Ryan's voice was fierce. They're going to take me. You can't stop them. Don't try. But I need you to do something else. Echo's ears went forward, focused, processing. Find Sarah Martinez. Stay with her. And when your head is clear, when you can think again, Ryan gripped the fur on both sides of Echo's face. Come find me. I know you can do it. Your nose is better than any GPS. Your brain is smarter than half the humans I know. So trust yourself, trust our bond, and come get me. Echo whined, a sound of pure anguish. I'll be okay. Ryan pulled the dog close, buried his face in his fur one last time. I survived 5 years without you. I can survive a few days, but Echo... His voice cracked. When you find me, we end this. We end whoever's behind this. Together. A vehicle pulled up outside, doors slamming, footsteps approaching fast. Dr. Chen moved to the door, his face resigned. They're here. Ryan stood on shaky legs. Echo tried to follow, but Ryan gave him the command he'd never wanted to use. Echo, stay. The dog's entire body trembled, every instinct screaming to protect his handler, but the command was absolute. Echo sat, shaking, whining, but obeying. The door burst open. 3 men in tactical gear. They grabbed Ryan with professional efficiency, zip-tying his wrist hood over his head. The last thing Ryan heard before they dragged him out was Echo's howl. It wasn't a normal dog sound. It was something primal and heartbroken and furious. The sound of a soul being ripped in half. And it followed Ryan into the darkness. The security team arrived 45 seconds after the extraction vehicle disappeared. They found Dr. Chen sitting on the floor crying with Echo pressed against the door, still howling. Sarah Martinez was the first handler to reach them. What happened? Dr. Chen looked up, his face destroyed. They took him. They took Senior Chief Nelson. Who did? People who want the dog. But he made me trade. Offered himself instead. Dr. Chen's voice was hollow. I betrayed him. And he saved my daughter anyway. Sarah's hand went to her radio. We need Agent Rossi, now. But Echo was already moving. The dog's howl had transformed into something else. Determination. His enhanced brain processing the situation, formulating a plan. He pressed his nose to the floor where Ryan had been lying, inhaled deeply, memorizing every molecule of scent, then moved to the door, to the tire tracks in the dirt outside. Sarah watched in amazement as Echo's entire demeanor changed. This wasn't a pet. This wasn't even a military working dog. This was something else entirely. This was a genius-level intelligence trapped in a canine body, and it had just lost the most important thing in its world. He's tracking them, Sarah breathed. Dr. Chen stood up. They have a 20-minute head start, and I don't know where they're taking him. Just that it's not Denver. That was a lie. Echo's head snapped toward Dr. Chen. The dog's eyes were focused with laser intensity. He barked once, sharp, demanding. I think, Sarah's voice was uncertain. I think he's asking for information. That's impossible. Dogs can't. Echo barked again. Louder, more insistent. Then he did something that made both humans freeze. He walked to Dr. Chen's pocket, the one with the burner phone, nosed it deliberately. He wants the phone, Sarah whispered. He knows it can lead to Ryan. Dr. Chen pulled out the burner with shaking hands. The last number I called. That's them. But it's encrypted, untraceable. Echo growled, not aggressive, frustrated, thinking. Then he turned and ran, full speed toward the communications building where Agent Rossi had her equipment. He's going for help, Sarah said. Oh my God, he understands what he needs. She ran after Echo with Dr. Chen following. The dog moved with purpose, his enhanced intelligence overriding his medication-induced lethargy. He had a mission now, a goal that transcended training. Find Ryan, save Ryan, bring him home. Nothing else mattered. Agent Rossi was on a conference call when Echo burst through her door. The dog went straight to her laptop, barked twice, then looked at the burner phone Dr. Chen was holding. What the hell? Rossi started. They took Ryan. Sarah blurted out. Echo's trying to tell you something about tracking them. Rossi's training kicked in instantly. She grabbed the burner phone, connected it to her system, and started running traces. Echo watched the screen intently, his tail rigid. This phone has been used 17 times in the past month, Rossi said, her fingers flying across the keyboard. All encrypted calls, but her eyes widened. The encryption has a flaw. NSA flagged it 6 months ago. We can break it. She made 3 calls in rapid succession, each one using phrases like priority alpha and kidnapped federal asset that made Sarah's blood run cold. Within 8 minutes, they had a location. Not Denver. Wyoming. A private ranch 200 miles north. I'm scrambling a tactical team, Rossi said. Choppers in the air in 20 minutes. Echo barked. Not in agreement. In protest. He wants to go now, Sarah said. The team needs... Echo barked again, more insistent. Then he did something that stopped everyone cold. He walked to the wall where a map of the western United States hung, rose up on his hind legs, and placed his paw on Wyoming, exactly where Rossi's trace had located the ranch. He knows, Dr. Chen whispered. He processed the conversation and the map, and he knows where Ryan is. That's not possible, Rossi said. You're the one who told Ryan about the neural regeneration therapy. Sarah's voice was fierce. About Echo's enhanced intelligence. This is what that looks like. He's not just a dog anymore. He's a partner trying to save his handler. Rossi finished quietly. She looked at Echo. You want to come on the rescue? Echo's tail wagged once. Then gear up, because we're bringing Ryan home. But what no one knew was that 200 miles away, Ryan was being strapped to a chair in a converted barn, and the person asking questions wasn't interested in military secrets. They wanted to know how to break Echo's loyalty to Ryan. Because if they could sever that bond, they could control the world's most intelligent K9, and Ryan would die before he let that happen. The interrogation started 30 minutes after they arrived at the ranch. Ryan's hood was removed, revealing a concrete room with a single chair, a table, and a woman in her 50s with cold eyes and expensive clothes. Senior Chief Nelson. Her accent was refined British. I'm Dr. Victoria Ashworth, and I'm very interested in your relationship with K9E4. His name is Echo, Ryan said. Yes, the dog with enhanced neural processing. Quite remarkable. She sat across from him. I've spent 3 years trying to acquire him. Your Navy has been rather uncooperative. Because he's not for sale. Everything's for sale, Mr. Nelson. You just haven't met the right buyer yet. Dr. Ashworth pulled out a tablet. I represent a consortium of interested parties, tech companies, defense contractors, nations that want their own enhanced K9 programs. Echo is worth billions if we can replicate what the Navy did to him. You can't replicate love, Ryan said. No, but we can replicate neural regeneration therapy. We have most of the formula already. What we're missing is the behavioral component, the bond between handler and dog that seems to stabilize the enhancement. Ryan's blood went cold. You want to experiment on dogs. I want to save dogs. Dr. Ashworth's voice took on a fervent edge. Do you know how many military working dogs die every year? How many suffer brain injuries? Your Echo should have died. The therapy saved him. Imagine if we could offer that to every wounded K9 in the world. By torturing them in labs, by studying them, learning from them. Yes, there would be failures, but the end result is turning dogs into weapons you can sell to the highest bidder, Ryan finished. I've seen your type before, Doctor. You wrap profit in humanitarian language and convince yourself you're doing good, but you're not. You're exploiting animals who can't consent to being test subjects. Dr. Ashworth's expression hardened. I don't need your approval, Senior Chief. I need your cooperation. Tell me how to break Echo's bond to you. What commands would override his loyalty? What trauma would make him forget you? Nothing. Everyone breaks Mr. Nelson. Not Echo, and not me. We'll see. Dr. Ashworth stood. You have 6 hours to reconsider. After that, we start testing theories, and I promise you, some of them will be quite painful. She left. The door locked. Ryan sat in the darkness and did what SEALs were trained to do. He planned. The zip ties on his wrists were standard police issue. Tight, but not perfect. He'd been working them since the vehicle ride using micro-movements to stretch the plastic. Another hour, and he'd have enough slack to slip one hand free. Then he'd need a weapon. The chair was bolted to the floor, but the table wasn't. Wooden construction. Heavy enough to break bones. And he'd need a distraction. Something to draw the guard's attention while he made his move. But mostly, he needed time. Time for Echo to find him. Because Ryan knew his dog. Knew that enhanced intelligence was working overtime right now. Processing clues. Following scents that were hours old. Tracking with a determination that bordered on supernatural. Echo was coming. Ryan just had to survive until he got there. 4 hours later, the door opened. Not Dr. Ashworth. A man in tactical gear, Russian accent. Boss wants to know if you changed your mind. Tell her I said, the man hit him. Not hard enough to cause serious damage, just enough to send a message. We can do this easy or hard, the Russian said. Your choice. Ryan spit blood. Hard then. The beating lasted 5 minutes. Professional work. Nothing that would cause permanent damage. Just pain. Lots of pain. When it was over, Ryan sagged in the chair, his ribs screaming, his lip split. We'll be back, the Russian said. Next time with questions. You better have answers. He left. The door locked. Ryan waited 60 seconds. Then he moved his wrists. The zip tie had stretched enough during the beating. He pulled his right hand through with a hiss of pain. Free. He stood on shaky legs and moved to the table. Tested its weight. 40 pounds. Solid oak. Perfect. Then he heard something that made his heart stop. Barking in the distance. Not just any barking. Echo's bark. The specific pattern he used for target acquisition during training. His dog had found him. Ryan moved to the door and pressed his ear against it. Voices shouting. Gunfire. The distinct sound of a helicopter overhead. Agent Rossi had come through. More gunfire. Closer now. Someone screaming. The Russian cursing in his native language. Then silence. Ryan gripped the table leg, ready to fight whoever came through the door next. The lock clicked. The door swung open. And there was Echo. The dog didn't wait. Didn't hesitate. He launched himself at Ryan with a force that knocked them both to the floor. Licking his face, whining, pressing close enough that Ryan could feel the dog's heartbeat matching his own. Good boy. Ryan whispered, his arms around Echo. Such a good boy. You found me. Agent Rossi appeared in the doorway, tactical vest and weapon. Senior Chief, we need to move. Building secure, but we're expecting reinforcements. Ryan stood, one hand on Echo's collar. Dr. Ashworth. Escaped through a tunnel system we didn't know about. We'll find her. And Dr. Chen's daughter. Safe. We hit the Denver location simultaneously. She's with her father now. Relief flooded through Ryan. Then let's go home. They moved through the building in tactical formation. Echo stayed at Ryan's side, his enhanced senses processing everything. Twice the dog alerted to threats before Rossi's team detected them. His intelligence was proving its worth with every step. Outside, 2 helicopters waited. One for the tactical team, one for Ryan and Echo. As they lifted off, Ryan looked down at the ranch. At the place where he'd almost lost everything. Again. We can't keep doing this, he said to Rossi. Running from people who want to exploit Echo, fighting off kidnapping attempts. This has to end. I know. Rossi's face was grim. We're working on a solution. What kind of solution? The permanent kind. Ryan didn't like the sound of that. But before he could question her further, Echo pressed his head against Ryan's chest. The dog was trembling. Not from fear, from exhaustion. The medication was finally wearing off completely, and the crash was hitting hard. "Sleep, boy," Ryan whispered. "I've got you." Echo's eyes closed. Within seconds, the dog was unconscious, his breathing deep and steady. Ryan held him as the helicopter flew through the night and made a promise. No more running. No more hiding. No more letting others dictate their lives. It was time to take control of their own story. The question was how. Back at the facility, the handlers greeted them like returning heroes. Sarah hugged Ryan so hard, his injured ribs protested. The other handlers surrounded Echo, checking him over, offering treats and affection. "We thought we'd lost you," Sarah said, tears streaming. "Both of you." "Takes more than kidnappers to separate us," Ryan replied. But his voice was tight, because he knew the truth. It would happen again and again, until they found a way to stop it permanently. Admiral Cortland arrived 6 hours later, his face grave. "Senior Chief, walk with me." They left the main building, Echo at Ryan's heels. The Admiral waited until they were out of earshot before speaking. "Dr. Ashworth works for a black market tech consortium. We've been tracking them for 2 years. They specialize in acquiring and reverse engineering classified military technology. So arrest her. She has immunity in 14 countries. We can't touch her legally." The Admiral stopped walking, "But we can make Echo too expensive to pursue." "How?" "We declassify him completely, release all data on the neural regeneration therapy, make the science public. If everyone has access to the research, Echo loses his unique value." Ryan felt cold spread through his chest. "You'd give away the ability to enhance military dogs to anyone with a lab?" "We'd give away the knowledge that might save wounded canines everywhere." The Admiral's voice was steady. "Isn't that what you wanted? For these dogs to be treated as more than property, if the science is public, every military canine program in the world gets access to life-saving treatment. That's worth the security risk." And Echo becomes one success story among many, not the only one, not worth billions, just a retired canine living with his handler. The Admiral met Ryan's eyes. "It won't stop all threats, but it'll reduce them significantly." Ryan looked at Echo. The dog was watching both humans intently, his enhanced brain processing the conversation, even if he couldn't understand all the words. "When would you release the data?" 3 weeks, congressional hearing. We present findings, answer questions, and then it's public domain. Will that put Dr. Chen at risk if the consortium blames him for failing? Dr. Chen and his daughter are in protective custody. New identities. They'll be fine. Ryan took a deep breath. It was risky. Opening this technology to the world meant some would abuse it, but it also meant every military working dog with a brain injury might have a chance at survival. Echo had gotten that chance. Didn't every other canine deserve the same? "Do it," Ryan said. "Release everything." The Admiral nodded. "Then we have 3 weeks to prepare, to make sure when the world learns about Echo's abilities, they also learn about the bond between handler and dog, about loyalty that survives death, about love that's stronger than any enhancement." "How do we do that?" "You tell your story, Senior Chief, all of it. The explosion, the 5 years of grief, the reunion on the pier, the training program, the kidnapping, everything. Let people see what this bond really means." "You want me to do interviews? I want you to be honest." The Admiral's voice softened. "The video of your reunion went viral because it was real. People saw genuine emotion, authentic love. That's what they'll remember. Not the technology, not the enhancements. The bond." Ryan looked at Echo again. The dog's tail wagged once. "All right," Ryan said. "We'll tell our story, but on our terms. No exploitation, No sensationalism. Just truth. Agreed. As they walked back toward the facility, Ryan felt something shift. For 5 years he'd been hiding, being a ghost, letting others control his narrative. Not anymore. He and Echo had a story that needed to be told, a story about loyalty and sacrifice and love that transcended death itself. And if telling that story protected other canines, protected other handlers, prevented other partnerships from being torn apart, then it was worth the risk of being seen. 3 weeks, Ryan thought. 3 weeks to prepare, to get ready, to make sure when they stepped into the spotlight they were ready for whatever came next. Because one thing was certain, the world was about to meet Ryan Nelson and Echo, and nothing would ever be the same again. Part 4. When the World Watches. The interview requests started within hours of Admiral Cortland's announcement. Every major network, every talk show, podcasts, documentary producers, book publishers, everyone wanted Ryan and Echo's story. Ryan turned them all down except one. 60 minutes, he told Agent Rossi. One interview, no editing rights for the Navy, no pre-screening questions, just me, Echo, and someone who will let us tell the truth. Rossi raised an eyebrow. The Admiral won't like those terms. Then the Admiral can do the interview himself. Ryan's voice was firm. I'm not going on television to be a propaganda piece. Either we do this honestly or we don't do it at all. You realize this will air to 30 million people. Good. Then 30 million people will hear what really matters. Echo, lying at Ryan's feet, thumped his tail once in agreement. Rossi made the call. 3 days later, they got confirmation. 60 Minutes accepted all conditions. The interview would be conducted by their most experienced correspondent. No restrictions, no edits without approval. You have 2 weeks to prepare, Rossi said. I strongly suggest you work with a media coach. No coaches, no scripts. Ryan looked at Echo. Just us telling what happened. What Ryan didn't know was that telling the truth would cost him more than he ever imagined. The preparation was simple because Ryan refused to make it complicated. He wrote down the key points he wanted to cover. The explosion in Afghanistan. The 5 years of believing Echo was dead. The reunion on the pier. The training program he'd built. The kidnapping. And most importantly, why the bond between handler and dog mattered more than any technology. Sarah Martinez helped him practice playing the role of interviewer. Why did you sit on that pier for 7 hours? She asked. Because I needed to know if the impossible was real, if the dog I'd mourned for 5 years had somehow survived, and because once I suspected it might be true, nothing else mattered. Not my mission, not my orders, just finding out if my partner was alive. Some people might say that's obsessive. Some people have never loved anyone the way a handler loves their dog. Ryan's voice was steady. When you work with a canine in combat, they're not just beside you, they're inside you. You think together, move together, trust each other with things you'd never trust another human. And when you lose that, his voice caught. It's like losing part of your soul. Sarah wiped her eyes. If you say that on camera, there won't be a dry eye in America. I'm not trying to make people cry. I'm trying to make them understand. But understanding came with a price Ryan hadn't anticipated. 6 days before the interview, Ryan's phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Hello? Senior Chief Nelson. A woman's voice. Young, nervous. Who is this? My name is Jessica Price. I'm calling because... She paused. My brother was on your SEAL team. The night of the explosion. David Price. Ryan's world stopped. David. Young kid from Ohio. Brilliant sniper. 23 years old. Killed in the same blast that should have taken Ryan and Echo. I remember your brother, Ryan said quietly. He was a good man. He wrote about you in his letters home. About Echo. About how you two were the heart of the team. Jessica's voice trembled. I'm calling because I saw the video of your reunion, and I need to know something. Ryan's chest tightened. What? Did my brother die saving you? The official report says IED, but David wrote that Echo was trained to detect explosives, that he never missed. So how did an IED kill 6 men and only you survived? The question hung in the air like a blade. Ryan closed his eyes. This was the conversation he'd been dreading for 5 years. The truth he'd carried alone. Your brother died because I gave the wrong order, Ryan said. We were clearing a building. Echo alerted to explosives in the north room. I overrode him. Told the team to breach the south entrance because I thought Echo was responding to residual sense from a previous blast. I was wrong. The explosives were in both rooms, rigged to blow when triggered from either side. David went south because I ordered it. He died because I didn't trust my dog. Jessica's breathing was ragged. The Navy never told us that. The Navy classified it, blamed equipment failure, protected me because they needed me for another mission. Ryan's voice was raw. But the truth is 6 men died because I second-guessed my partner. Echo tried to warn me. I didn't listen. And he still pushed me out of the way when the charges blew, still saved my life even though I'd failed him. Silence on the other end, long and painful. Jessica, I am so sorry about your brother. He deserved better than to die following my orders. Did you love him? Her voice was small. Did you love your team? Yes, every single one of them. Then tell that story. Jessica was crying now. When you go on television, don't just talk about your reunion with Echo. Talk about the men who died. The families who lost sons and brothers and husbands because of that explosion. Make sure people know the real cost. Ryan's throat was too tight to speak. My brother loved you, Senior Chief. He wrote that you were the best leader he'd ever served under, that you'd die for any of them. So honor that. Honor him. Tell the whole truth. She hung up. Ryan sat in the darkness with Echo's head in his lap and wept. For David Price. For the 5 other men who'd died that night. For the families who'd been told sanitized versions that protected classified operations, but erased the human truth. I killed them, Ryan whispered to Echo. I didn't trust you, and they died because of it. Echo pressed closer, whining softly. That's why I sat on that pier for 7 hours. Not just because I thought you might be alive, because I needed you to forgive me for not listening, for getting our team killed, for failing you when you'd never failed me. Echo licked Ryan's face. Once. Gently. And in that moment, Ryan understood something that changed everything. Echo had never blamed him. Not once in 5 years. Not even in those final seconds before the explosion. The dog had done what dogs do, loved his handler without condition. Forgave without question. Trusted even when trust had been betrayed. I have to tell them, Ryan said. On national television, I have to tell the truth about what happened that night. Agent Rossi appeared in the doorway. She'd been listening. If you tell that story, the Navy will deny it. They'll say you're unstable, traumatized, making false claims about classified operations. Let them. They'll revoke your pension, your security clearance. They might even court-martial you for breaking classification protocols. Then I'll face it. Ryan looked at her. But I won't lie. Not about this. David Price's sister deserves to know the truth. His family deserves it. And America deserves to understand that the real story isn't about technology or enhancements. It's about consequences, about failure, about a handler who didn't trust his dog and paid the price. Rossi studied him for a long moment. You understand, this will destroy your reputation. My reputation isn't worth 6 men's lives. The Admiral will try to stop you. Then the Admiral will fail. Ryan stood his decision made. I'm telling the whole story, and if the Navy wants to punish me for that, so be it. But Admiral Cortlandt surprised them both. He showed up the next morning with a file folder and an expression Ryan couldn't read. I heard about your conversation with Jessica Price, the Admiral said. I'm telling the truth. You can't stop me. I'm not here to stop you. Cortland opened the folder. I'm here to tell you that you're right. About all of it. The official report we filed was incomplete. We protected the classified mission at the expense of the family's right to know how their loved ones died. That was wrong. Ryan stared at him. You're admitting that. I'm admitting more than that. The Admiral pulled out a document. I'm the one who overrode the investigation, who classified the details, who ordered you to stay silent. The guilt you've been carrying for 5 years, I helped put it there, and I'm done living with that. Sir, I don't understand. When you go on that interview, tell the whole truth, including my role in the cover-up. Cortland's voice was steady. I'll take responsibility for my decisions. Face whatever consequences come. But those families deserve to know what really happened. And you deserve to stop carrying guilt that should be shared. Ryan's mind reeled. You'd sacrifice your career for this. I'd sacrifice my career to do the right thing. Cortland met his eyes. I've been a naval officer for 34 years, built a reputation on following orders and protecting secrets. But some secrets corrode your soul, Senior Chief, and I'm tired of letting mine rot from the inside. Echo, who'd been watching the exchange intently, stood and walked to the Admiral. The dog sat in front of him and raised one paw. Cortland stared at the offered paw. Then slowly, carefully, he shook it. Smart dog, he said quietly. Knows when someone's trying to make amends. He knows when someone's being honest, Ryan corrected. That's always been his gift. The Admiral nodded. Then let's be honest together. Let's tell America what really happened. And let's make sure it never happens again. The 60 Minutes crew arrived at the facility 3 days before the scheduled air date. They spent 2 days filming background footage, Ryan working with handlers, Echo demonstrating his abilities, the training grounds where Ryan was building his revolution in canine care. On the 3rd day, they did the interview. Ryan sat in a simple chair with Echo at his side. No makeup, no special lighting. Just a man and his dog and a camera that would broadcast their story to the world. The correspondent, a woman named Catherine Ward, with 30 years of investigative journalism experience, started gently. Senior Chief Nelson, take us back to that pier in Port Blossom. What made you sit there for 7 hours? Ryan took a breath. I saw a dog the day before that moved like my partner. Echo, my canine, who I'd been told died 5 years earlier in Afghanistan. I couldn't be sure it was him. But I needed to know. So I sat where I knew the canine unit would pass on their daily patrol. And I waited. For 7 hours. I would have waited 7 days, 7 years, however long it took. Why? Ryan looked at Echo. Because he's not just a dog. He's my partner, my brother, the one who saved my life. And if there was even a chance he was alive, I couldn't walk away without knowing. Tell us about the night he saved your life. This was it, the moment of truth. We were on a mission in Afghanistan, clearing an insurgent stronghold. Echo alerted to explosives. Ryan's voice stayed steady. He was trained to detect IEDs, never missed. But I overrode his alert. Told my team to breach a different entrance because I thought he was responding to old scents. I was wrong. Both rooms were rigged. When we breached, everything exploded. Catherine leaned forward. How many men did you lose? 6. 6 good men who trusted my leadership and died because I didn't trust my dog. The official Navy report blames equipment failure. The official report is wrong. Ryan met the camera directly. I'm responsible. I gave the order. And one of those men, David Price, 23 years old from Ohio, deserves to have his family know the truth about how he died. They all do. Catherine's expression showed she understood the significance of what Ryan was saying. You're breaking classification to tell this story. I'm honoring the men who died. Ryan's voice was fierce. The Navy classified their deaths to protect a mission, But those 6 men and their families deserve more than classified files and sanitized reports. They deserve the truth. Even if it costs you everything. Especially then. Catherine turned slightly. Admiral James Cortland is here today. Admiral, what's your response to these allegations? The camera panned to include Cortland sitting in a separate chair. Senior Chief Nelson is correct, the Admiral said. The official report was incomplete. We classified details to protect ongoing operations, but in doing so, we failed the families of those 6 men. That was my decision, my responsibility, and I'm here to take accountability for it. Catherine's eyebrows rose. This wasn't what she'd expected. You're confirming a cover-up. I'm confirming that we prioritized operational security over transparency. That was wrong. And after this interview airs, I'll be submitting my resignation and requesting a full investigation into the incident. Ryan's head snapped toward the Admiral. They hadn't discussed resignation. Cortland met his eyes. Some things are more important than rank senior chief. The interview continued for 2 more hours. Ryan talked about the 5 years of grief. The moment Echo recognized him on the pier, the training program, the kidnapping, and most importantly, why the bond between handler and dog mattered more than any military technology. These dogs aren't equipment, Ryan said. They're not tools or weapons. They're living beings who serve and sacrifice and love without condition. Echo pushed me out of the way of that blast knowing he'd probably die. He did it anyway because that's what partners do. They protect each other. And when we fail to honor that, when we treat them as disposable, or classify their deaths, or separate them from their handlers for convenience, we betray everything they give us. What do you want people to understand? Ryan looked at Echo. The dog was watching him with those impossibly intelligent eyes, understanding every word. I want people to understand that love is the most powerful force in existence, not technology, not enhancements, not military training. Love. The kind of love that survives death, that endures separation, that forgives failure. Echo loved me even when I got our team killed. He never stopped, never quit. And when he finally found me again, after 5 years, that love was still there, unchanged, unbreakable. Catherine was wiping her eyes. Her cameraman was too. That's the real story, Ryan continued. Not about a miracle reunion, but about loyalty that transcends everything we think we know about relationships. About a dog who remembered his handler when every logical reason said he should forget. About love that literally rewrote neural pathways and survived 5 years of separation and came back stronger than ever. What happens now? Now we make sure every canine handler in the world understands what they have. Not a subordinate, not a tool, but a partner who will love them more completely than most humans are capable of. And we build a system that honors that never separates handler and dog, that treats these animals with the dignity and respect they've earned. The interview wrapped. Catherine stood and shook Ryan's hand. That was the most powerful interview I've done in 30 years, she said quietly. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for letting us tell the truth. But the truth came with consequences, Ryan felt immediately. Admiral Cortland pulled him aside an hour after filming wrapped. You know what's going to happen when this airs. Court-martial for breaking classification. Probably. Congressional hearings definitely. Media circus absolutely. Cortland's voice was calm. But something else too. Change. Real change. Because you just told 30 million people that the military has been lying about canine casualties and covering up handler failures. That's going to trigger investigations. Reforms? Accountability? Good. You might go to prison, Senior Chief. Then Echo comes with me. Ryan's voice was light, almost joking. I hear some prisons have therapy dog programs. Cortland almost smiled. You're either the bravest man I know or the most foolish. Can't I be both? This time the Admiral did smile. Dismissed, Senior Chief. Go spend time with your dog. You've earned it." But before Ryan could leave, Agent Rossi appeared with her phone out and her face pale. "We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "Dr. Victoria Ashworth just posted a video response to your interview announcement. It's already got 2 million views." She held up the phone. On screen, Dr. Ashworth sat in an expensive office, her expression sympathetic. "Senior Chief Nelson's story is touching," she said to the camera. "But it's incomplete. What he doesn't tell you is that the neural regeneration therapy that saved Echo's life, it's unstable. That enhanced intelligence he's so proud of? It's killing the dog. Echo has maybe 2 years left before the neural degradation becomes irreversible. The Navy knows this. They've known for 18 months. And they haven't told Senior Chief Nelson because they're using him and his dog to promote a technology that's fundamentally flawed." The video ended. Ryan stared at the screen. "That's not true. That can't be true." But Rossi's expression told him everything he needed to know. "We need to talk," she said quietly, "about Echo's prognosis, about things the Admiral hasn't told you yet." Ryan's world tilted. "How long have you known?" "6 months, maybe 7. "And you didn't tell me." "The Admiral's orders. He wanted to wait until after the congressional hearing, until the technology was declassified and we could bring in civilian specialists without security clearance issues." Ryan looked at Echo. The dog was watching him with those brilliant, enhanced eyes. Eyes that might only have 2 more years of light in them. "Is it true?" Ryan's voice was barely audible. "Is the enhancement killing him?" Rossi hesitated, then nodded. The neural regeneration therapy worked, but it accelerated his brain's metabolic processes. He's burning through neurons faster than his body can replace them. Right now he's fine. Brilliant even. But in 2 years, maybe less, the degradation will start. Memory loss, cognitive decline, seizures. "Can we stop it?" "We're trying. But Senior Chief," her voice broke, "we might not find an answer in time." Ryan dropped to his knees beside Echo. The dog pressed against him, sensing distress, but not understanding why. "I just got him back," Ryan whispered. "I can't lose him again." "You won't lose him." Rossi knelt beside them. "Not the way you think. Even if the enhancement degrades, Echo will still be Echo. Still be your dog. He'll just be normal." Ryan's voice was hollow. "He'll forget everything, the missions, the training, me." "We don't know. Every case is different, but Ryan." She used his first name for the first time ever. "Even if he forgets, you won't. You'll still have the memories, the bond, the love." "That's not enough." "It's all we get." Rossi's voice was gentle. "None of us get forever. Not with dogs, not with people. We get moments. And you've had more moments with Echo than most handlers get with 10 dogs. That's not nothing." Ryan buried his face in Echo's fur. The dog whined softly, licking his ear. "I'm not ready," Ryan said. "No one ever is." But what Rossi didn't tell him, what even she didn't know yet, was that Dr. Ashworth's video had triggered something unexpected. Within hours of her revelation, veterinary neurologists from around the world started contacting the Navy, offering help, sharing research, proposing experimental treatments. Because the story of a dog with enhanced intelligence dying from that same enhancement, that was a medical mystery scientists couldn't resist. And among those scientists was one who'd been working on neural degradation for 20 years. Someone who believed they might have a solution. Someone who was about to offer Ryan and Echo something that seemed impossible. Hope. But hope came with its own price. And that price would test Ryan in ways that even combat never had. The call came at 3 in the morning, 2 days before the 60 Minutes interview was scheduled to air. Ryan answered on the second ring, his hand already on Echo's collar. Years of combat training made him instantly alert. "Senior Chief Nelson?" A woman's voice, accented, German maybe. My name is Dr. Christina Volker. I'm a neurologist at the University of Zurich. I need to talk to you about your dog. Ryan sat up. How did you get this number? I have colleagues at the Pentagon who believe what I'm researching could help Echo. She spoke quickly, urgently. The neural degradation Dr. Ashworth mentioned in her video. I've been working on a treatment protocol for 15 years. Human patients with degenerative brain diseases. The science is similar. Similar isn't the same. No, but it's close enough that I believe we could adapt it. Dr. Volker paused. Senior Chief, I watched the interview footage that leaked online. I saw you with your dog. That bond, it's extraordinary. And I can't stand by and watch that bond be destroyed by a medical condition I might be able to treat. Ryan's throat tightened. What's the success rate? In humans, 70% show significant improvement. 20% stabilize. 10% don't respond. And in dogs, we've never tested it on dogs. Echo would be the first. There it was. The impossible choice. Risk experimental treatment that might kill Echo faster or watch him slowly deteriorate over 2 years. What would the treatment involve? Gene therapy. We'd introduce modified viruses that target the specific neurons being damaged by the enhancement. The viruses would deliver genetic instructions to slow or stop the degradation. Dr. Volker's voice was steady, professional. It's not without risk. The immune response could be severe. But if it works, Echo could have decades instead of years. Decades. The word hung in Ryan's mind like a promise he was afraid to believe. I need time to think. You have until the interview airs. Dr. Volker's tone shifted. After that, media attention will make it impossible to move Echo without being tracked. Dr. Ashworth is already watching. Others too. If you want to try this treatment, it needs to happen in the next 48 hours, quietly, before the world knows where you are. She gave him a number to call back and hung up. Ryan sat in the darkness with Echo's warm body pressed against his leg. The dog was sleeping peacefully, unaware that his life hung in the balance of a decision his handler had to make alone. Agent Rossi appeared in the doorway like a ghost. I heard your phone ring. You're monitoring my calls. I'm protecting you. She moved into the room. Who was it? Ryan told her. Everything. The treatment. The risks. The impossible timeline. Rossi listened without interrupting. When he finished, she sat down heavily. This is exactly what I was afraid of, she said quietly. The moment Echo's condition became public, every researcher with the experimental protocol would come out of the woodwork. Some legitimate, some not. How do you know Dr. Volker is who she claims to be? I don't. Then how can you trust her? I can't. Ryan looked at Echo. But I also can't watch him die without trying everything. Even if it's risky. Even if it might be a trap. It could be Dr. Ashworth. Setting up another kidnapping attempt? Then she'll have to get through me. Ryan's voice was steel. And this time, I'll be ready. Rossi studied him for a long moment. Then she pulled out her phone. Give me 2 hours. I'll verify Dr. Volker's credentials, check her research, make sure she's legitimate. If she is, I'll help you get Echo to Zurich without being followed. And if she's not, then we find another way to save your dog. Rossi stood. You're not alone in this, Ryan. The handlers you train, they're family now. They'd die for you and Echo. So would I. Remember that. She left before Ryan could respond. Echo woke up, yawned, and looked at Ryan with those brilliant eyes. The dog tilted his head, sensing something was wrong. We might have to take a trip, boy, Ryan whispered. Somewhere that could help you. Or hurt you. I don't know which, but I can't. His voice broke. I can't lose you again. Not when there's even a chance. Echo pressed his head against Ryan's chest. Trusting. Always trusting. And Ryan made his decision. Whatever it took. Whatever the risk. He would try. 2 hours later, Rossi returned with a tablet full of information. Dr. Christina Volker is legitimate, she said. Published researcher. 17 peer-reviewed papers on neural regeneration. Her treatment protocol has been approved for human trials in 3 countries. No connections to Dr. Ashworth or any black market tech groups we can find. So she's real. She's real. But Senior Chief. Rossi hesitated. Her success rate. The 70%. That's with human patients who've had years of progressive disease. Echo's condition is different. Faster. More aggressive. There's no way to predict how he'd respond. But there's a chance. Yes. There's a chance. Ryan called the number Dr. Volker had given him. She answered immediately. Senior Chief, have you decided? If we do this, what's the timeline? You fly to Zurich tonight. We run preliminary tests tomorrow. If Echo's physiology is compatible, we start treatment tomorrow night. The gene therapy takes 72 hours to integrate. Then we wait to see if his body accepts it. And if it doesn't, then you'll have days with him instead of years. But they'll be good days. Comfortable, surrounded by people who care. Dr. Volker's voice softened. I won't let him suffer, Senior Chief. That's my promise. Ryan looked at Agent Rossi. She nodded slowly. All right, Ryan said. We're coming. Pack light. Tell no one. I'll send coordinates for a private airfield. Be there by 1800 hours. She hung up. Rossi was already moving. I'll arrange transport. Cover story. Everything. You focus on Echo. But as Ryan started packing, Sarah Martinez burst into the room with her phone out. Sir, we have a problem. A big one. Ryan's stomach dropped. What? Someone leaked the full interview footage, all 3 hours. It's online, everywhere. The video about the explosion. The Admiral taking responsibility. Your confession. Everything. Ryan grabbed her phone. The footage was everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, news sites. In less than 2 hours, 40 million people had watched Ryan tell the world about his failure. About the 6 men who'd died. About the Navy's cover-up. How did this happen? We don't know, but Senior Chief... Sarah's voice was urgent. You need to see the response. She pulled up Twitter. The hashtag, #RyanandEcho, was trending #1 worldwide. But it wasn't angry or accusatory. It was overwhelming support. Veterans were posting their own stories of K-9 partners. Gold Star families were thanking Ryan for his honesty. Active duty handlers were posting pictures with their dogs and the caption, Brothers Forever. They're not angry at you, Sarah said, her voice thick with emotion. They're inspired. You admitted failure and it made you more human, not less. You honored the fallen and it gave their families closure. She wiped her eyes. You changed everything. But Ryan barely heard her. Because one comment caught his eye. From a username he recognized. Jessica Price, Ohio. Thank you for telling the truth about my brother. Now he can finally rest. And so can I. Ryan's hands shook as he read it. David Price's sister. The woman who'd called demanding truth. She'd gotten it. And instead of hating Ryan, she was grateful. I don't understand, Ryan whispered. You gave them honesty, Agent Rossi said from the doorway. In a world full of spin and cover-ups and politicians protecting their careers, you told the truth, even though it destroyed you. That's heroic. Not despite your failure. Because of it. But there was no time to process. Because Ryan's phone rang again. This time, Admiral Cortland. Senior Chief, where are you? At the facility. Why? Stay there. Lock the doors. We have a situation. Ryan's blood went cold. What kind of situation? Dr. Ashworth knows about Dr. Volker. She just posted another video claiming the treatment is a trap. That Volker is working with her to kidnap Echo. She's calling on her followers to stop you from leaving the country. Is that true? Is Volker working with Ashworth? We don't know, but Ryan. The Admiral's voice was grim. There are protesters gathering at every major airport, armed groups claiming they're protecting Echo. It's chaos. You can't fly commercial. I'm not flying commercial. Private airfield, classified location. Ashworth has resources. She might know about that too. You need military escort. That'll draw more attention. Then what's your plan? Ryan looked at Echo, at Sarah, at Rossi, at the handlers who'd started gathering in the hallway, all of them armed, all of them ready to fight. My plan is to trust the people who've never let me down. Ryan's voice was steady. I'm taking my dog to Zurich, and anyone who tries to stop me will regret it. The Admiral was silent for a long moment. I'm sending a team anyway. They'll shadow you. If things go wrong, they extract you. Thank you, sir. Ryan. The Admiral used his first name. Bring him home safe. That's the only plan I have. The drive to the airfield was supposed to take 40 minutes. They made it in 25 with Sarah driving like she was still in Afghanistan dodging IEDs. Echo sat in the back seat with Ryan, his head in his handler's lap. The dog was calm, trusting. He had no idea his life hung in the balance of the next 72 hours. Rossi rode shotgun, her weapon visible, her phone tracking 3 different threat assessments simultaneously. We're clear so far, she said. No tail, no chatter on any channels about our route. That's what worries me, Sarah muttered. It's too easy. She was right to worry. They were 5 miles from the airfield when Echo's head snapped up. His entire body went rigid. A growl rumbled in his chest. The combat alert Ryan recognized instantly. Contact, Ryan said. Echo's alerting. Sarah hit the brakes. Ahead of them, 3 vehicles blocked the road. Men with rifles stepping out. Not military. Not police. Private contractors. Back up, Rossi ordered. Sarah threw the car into reverse, but more vehicles appeared behind them. They were boxed in. Ryan's hand moved to his weapon. How many? 12 visible, maybe more. Rossi's voice was combat calm. We're outgunned. Then we negotiate. Senior Chief. I'm not shooting civilians even if they're idiots. Ryan opened his door slowly, hands visible. Stay with Echo. He stepped out. The men approached with weapons raised but not aimed. Their leader was a man in his 50s, scarred face, military bearing. Senior Chief Nelson. The man's voice was respectful but firm. We're not here to hurt you. We're here to protect your dog. By pointing guns at us. By making sure you don't take him to Dr. Volker. The man lowered his weapon slightly. My name is Marcus Webb, former Marine K-9 handler. I served with dogs for 20 years. Lost 3 partners to experimental treatments that were supposed to help them. I'm not letting you make the same mistake. Ryan's chest tightened. This wasn't an enemy. This was someone who understood. Marcus, I appreciate what you're trying to do. Then don't go. Marcus stepped closer. Dr. Ashworth's video laid it out. Volker's treatment has a 30% mortality rate in the first 72 hours. 30%. That means there's a 1 in 3 chance your dog dies on the table. Is that a risk worth taking? Yes. Why? Because the alternative is watching him die slowly over 2 years. Watching his brilliant mind deteriorate. Watching him forget me. Ryan's voice broke. I can't do that. I'd rather risk losing him fast than watch him fade. Marcus's expression cracked. I watched my last dog fade. Took 18 months. He stopped recognizing me in month 14. It was the worst thing I've ever experienced. Then you understand why I have to try. I understand why you want to. Marcus looked at the vehicle where Echo's head was visible in the window. But that dog trusts you completely. Are you honoring that trust by risking his life on experimental treatment, or are you being selfish because you can't handle losing him? The question hit like a physical blow. Because Marcus was right. Ryan was being selfish. He knew it, but he also knew something else. Echo pushed me out of the way of an explosion, knowing he'd probably die. Ryan said quietly. He chose to risk his life because that's what partners do. Now it's my turn. I'm choosing to risk his life because there's a chance, even a small one, that he gets decades instead of years. That's not selfish. That's love. Marcus stared at him, then slowly lowered his weapon completely. You really believe that? With everything I am. Then go. Marcus turned to his men. Stand down. Let them through. Marcus! One of the contractors protested. I said stand down. Marcus's voice was command authority. This man loves his dog more than his own safety, more than his career, maybe even more than his life. Who are we to stop that? The contractors lowered their weapons, moved their vehicles. Marcus walked to Ryan and offered his hand. I hope Dr. Volker is as good as she claims, because if she's not, you're going to live with this decision forever. I'm already living with the decision that killed 6 men. Ryan shook his hand. I can live with this one too. They drove the final 5 miles without incident. The private jet was waiting, engines running. Dr. Volker had been true to her word. But as Ryan lifted Echo into the plane, Agent Rossi grabbed his arm. There's something you should know, she said. I ran deeper background on Dr. Volker. She's legitimate, but she's also desperate. Her funding was cut 6 months ago. Her research is dying. If she saves Echo, it proves her treatment works. That brings money, grants, recognition. Ryan felt cold spread through his chest. You're saying she needs Echo to succeed. I'm saying her motives aren't purely humanitarian. Rossi met his eyes. That doesn't make her evil, but it means she might take risks she shouldn't. Push boundaries she wouldn't normally cross. Do you think I should turn back? I think you should know the whole truth before you put your dog's life in her hands. Ryan looked at Echo. The dog was watching him with those brilliant, trusting eyes. The whole truth is, I've been making impossible choices since I was 23 years old, Ryan said. Deploy or stay home. Follow orders or question them. Trust my instincts or trust my training. And every single time I've chosen wrong just as often as I've chosen right. But Echo, his voice cracked. Echo has never chosen wrong, not once. He's always trusted me. So I'm going to trust this, even if it's the wrong choice, even if I regret it. Because doing nothing is also a choice, and that's one I can't live with. Rossi nodded slowly. Then I'm coming with you. You don't have to. Yes, I do. She climbed into the plane. Someone needs to watch your back. Might as well be me. Sarah appeared at the base of the stairs. Sir, what do you need from us? Keep training the handlers, keep building the program, and if this goes wrong... Ryan swallowed hard. Make sure everyone knows Echo was loved, that he mattered, that his life meant something. His life means everything, Sarah said fiercely. To all of us. You changed how we see our dogs, how we love them. That's forever. Ryan hugged her quickly, then climbed into the plane with Echo at his side. The flight to Zurich took 11 hours. Ryan didn't sleep, just held Echo and memorized every detail. The way his ears moved, the sound of his breathing, the warmth of his body pressed close. If these were their last hours together, Ryan wanted to remember everything. Dr. Volker met them at a private clinic outside the city. She was younger than Ryan expected, late 30s, sharp eyes, confident movements. She knelt in front of Echo immediately. Hello, brave one, she said softly. Let's see if we can help you. Echo sniffed her hand. His tail wagged once, cautiously approving. He likes you, Ryan said. Dogs always know. Dr. Volker stood. Come, we have work to do. The preliminary tests took 6 hours. Blood work, brain scans, genetic analysis. Dr. Volker worked with focused intensity, 3 assistants supporting her every move. Ryan watched through glass as they put Echo through test after test. The dog was patient, cooperative, trusting these strangers because Ryan had told him to. He's remarkable. Dr. Volker said, appearing beside Ryan. "The neural enhancement is more extensive than I expected. His cognitive processing is off the charts, but the degradation..." She pulled up scans on a tablet. "It's aggressive, faster than what Dr. Ashworth predicted. You have months, not years." Ryan's world tilted. Months. 6, maybe 8. The metabolic burn is accelerating. She met his eyes. "But there's good news. His physiology is compatible with the treatment. We can start tonight." "What's the real risk?" Ryan asked. "Not the clinical percentage. The real risk." Dr. Volker was quiet for a moment. 40% chance of severe immune response, 20% chance of complete organ failure, 10% chance of immediate death during the procedure, and 30% chance it works perfectly. Those numbers don't add up to 100. Because there's variables I can't predict, ways his enhanced biology might react that we've never seen. This is uncharted territory, Senior Chief. I believe it will work, but I can't promise it. Ryan looked at Echo through the glass. The dog was resting now, his head on his paws, occasionally glancing toward the door where he knew Ryan was waiting. "If you were me," Ryan said quietly, "what would you do?" "I would ask myself if love means protecting him from risk or giving him every chance at life." Dr. Volker's voice was gentle. "Both answers are right. Both answers are wrong. There's no good choice here. Only the choice you can live with." Ryan closed his eyes, remembered the explosion. The 5 years of grief, the reunion on the pier, the kidnapping, the training, every moment that had led to this impossible decision. "Do the treatment," he said. "You're sure?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." Dr. Volker nodded. "Then say goodbye for now. The procedure takes 4 hours. After that, we wait." Ryan entered the room where Echo was resting. The dog's head came up immediately, tail wagging. "Hey, boy." Ryan knelt beside him. "We're going to try something that might help you. It's going to be scary. You're going to go to sleep, and when you wake up, I might not be here right away. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" Echo licked his face. "Good dog." Ryan's voice broke completely. "If something goes wrong, if this doesn't work, I need you to know something. You gave me the best years of my life. You saved me. Not just from the explosion, from myself. From a life that meant nothing. You made me better, made me human again. And I..." He couldn't continue. Just held Echo close and wept. Agent Rossi appeared in the doorway. "It's time." Ryan kissed the top of Echo's head. "I love you, boy. Come back to me." Echo whined softly as Dr. Volker's team took him to surgery. He looked back once, his eyes finding Ryan's, and Ryan saw in that gaze everything that mattered. Trust, love, faith. Then the door closed, and Echo was gone. The 4 hours felt like 4 years. Ryan paced, prayed, bargained with a God he wasn't sure he believed in. Rossi sat beside him, silent support, her hand occasionally touching his shoulder. At hour 3, Dr. Volker emerged. Her face was impossible to read. "We've completed the gene therapy delivery. His vitals are stable. The immediate danger has passed." Ryan's knees went weak. He's alive. He's alive. But now we wait. The next 72 hours will tell us if his body accepts the treatment, if his immune system doesn't reject it, if the genes integrate properly. "Can I see him?" "Not yet. He needs to remain in a sterile environment. But..." She pulled out a tablet. "You can watch." The screen showed Echo lying on a surgical table, his chest rising and falling with steady breaths. Monitors tracked his heart rate, brain activity, oxygen levels. Everything looked normal, but normal didn't mean safe. "What are his chances now?" Ryan asked. "Better than before. 60% he survives the next 3 days." If he does 90%, the treatment works long-term. 60%. Better odds than Ryan had faced in a dozen combat situations. But this wasn't combat. This was Echo. "I'm staying here," Ryan said, "until he wakes up. There are rooms upstairs." "I'm staying here." Ryan sat down in front of the monitor, "where I can see him." Dr. Volker didn't argue. The first 24 hours passed without incident. Echo's vitals remained stable. His brain activity showed normal patterns, no signs of rejection. But on hour 30, something changed. Alarms blared. Medical staff rushed into Echo's room. Ryan stood frozen, watching as they worked over his dog. "What's happening?" he shouted. Dr. Volker was already running toward the surgical suite. "Immune response. His body is recognizing the gene therapy as foreign. We need to suppress it before—" She disappeared through the doors. Ryan pressed against the glass, watching as they injected medications. Adjusted machines fought to save Echo's life. The dog's body was seizing, his heart rate spiking and dropping erratically. "He's crashing!" someone shouted. Time slowed. Ryan watched the heart monitor flatline, watched them start chest compressions, watched his entire world end for the second time. "Don't you dare," Ryan whispered. "Don't you dare leave me again." 30 seconds of CPR. A minute. 2 minutes. The line stayed flat. Ryan's legs gave out. He dropped to his knees. This was it. The wrong choice. The selfish choice. He'd killed his dog trying to save him. But then, a beep. Single. Weak. Another beep. Echo's heart was restarting. The rhythm stabilized. Grew stronger. The seizures stopped. Dr. Volker emerged 40 minutes later, her face exhausted but cautiously optimistic. "He's alive. The immune response was severe, but we suppressed it. His body is accepting the treatment now, integrating it." Ryan couldn't speak, could barely breathe. "Senior Chief, the worst is over. If he survives the next 48 hours without another crisis, he'll make it." 2 more days. 48 more hours of terror. Ryan stayed at that window for every second. Agent Rossi brought him food he didn't eat, water he barely drank. The handlers back in Colorado sent messages of support he couldn't read. All he could do was watch Echo breathe and pray it didn't stop. Hour 48 came, then hour 60, hour 70. No more alarms, no more crises, just steady breathing, strong heartbeat, healing. On hour 72, Dr. Volker came to get him. "He's awake, and he's asking for you." Ryan's heart stopped. "Asking?" "See for yourself." She led him to Echo's room. The dog was lying on a cushioned table, eyes open, ears up. And when Echo saw Ryan, he barked. Once. Sharp. Clear. Ryan crossed the room in 3 strides and dropped beside the table. Echo's tail started wagging. Slowly at first, then faster. The dog pushed himself up on shaky legs and pressed his head against Ryan's chest. "You made it," Ryan whispered. "You're okay." Echo licked his face frantically, whining, crying, speaking in the language only they understood. "The treatment worked," Dr. Volker said softly. "The neural degradation has stopped, reversed even. He's going to be fine, Senior Chief. More than fine. The gene therapy stabilized the enhancement. He'll keep his intelligence, his abilities, everything, for the rest of his natural life." Ryan couldn't stop the sobs. "How long?" 12 years, maybe 15. We gave you time." Time, the most precious gift in the universe. "Thank you," Ryan managed to say. "Thank you for saving him. Thank you for trusting me." Dr. Volker smiled. "Now take your dog home. You both deserve rest." The flight back to Colorado took 11 hours. This time, Ryan slept. With Echo's head in his lap and Agent Rossi watching over them both, he finally let himself believe it was over. They'd survived. Against impossible odds. Against every prediction. Against death itself. When they landed, Sarah and all 15 handlers were waiting. They'd made a banner that read, "Welcome home, heroes." Echo barked at them, his happy bark full of joy, and every handler dropped to their knees, some crying, some laughing, all of them surrounding Echo with love and welcome. "You did it," Sarah said to Ryan. "You saved him." "We saved him," Ryan corrected. "All of us, because that's what family does." The 60 Minutes interview aired that Sunday night. 37 million people watched. The response was overwhelming. Congress announced investigations. The Navy implemented new K-9 handler policies. Admiral Cortlandt resigned, but was given immunity for his testimony. David Price's family received full disclosure about how he died. 6 other families got the same. All of them thanked Ryan for his honesty. Dr. Ashworth's video was exposed as misinformation. She disappeared from public view, her consortium dissolved by international law enforcement. And Ryan's training program became the model for every K-9 unit in the country. But none of that mattered as much as the moment 3 weeks later when Ryan stood in front of his handlers for the last official training session. "You came here to learn how to be K-9 handlers," he said. "But what you really learned is how to love so completely that nothing can break it. Not time, not distance, not even death. You learned what Echo taught me, that loyalty is the strongest force in the universe, that love survives everything, and that the bond between handler and dog isn't just partnership. It's family." The handlers stood and saluted. Not military precision, but something deeper, respect between people who understood what mattered most. Echo barked once from Ryan's side, and Ryan smiled. 6 months later, a memorial was dedicated in Washington, D.C., black granite. Simple inscription: "For the military working dogs who serve without question, sacrifice without hesitation, and love without condition, and for the handlers who honor that gift by loving them back. Brothers and sisters, always." Ryan stood at the unveiling with Echo beside him. Gold Star families surrounded them, handlers with their dogs, veterans who understood what this memorial really meant. Admiral Cortlandt approached no longer in uniform, but still carrying himself with military bearing. "You changed everything, Senior Chief." "Echo changed everything," Ryan corrected. "I just told his story." "No, you told the truth about love and loyalty and sacrifice." The Admiral looked at the memorial. "That's what they'll remember. Not the technology, not the enhancements, just a man and his dog who proved that some bonds can never be broken." Ryan knelt beside Echo. The dog looked at him with those brilliant, saved, precious eyes. "We did good, boy," Ryan whispered. Echo's tail wagged, and in that simple motion was every answer that mattered. They'd survived impossible odds, found each other against all logic, built a legacy that would protect K-9s and handlers for generations. But more than that, they'd proven something the world desperately needed to believe: that love, real fierce, unbreakable love, could survive anything, even death itself. And as Ryan stood with his partner beside him and his family of handlers surrounding them both, he understood the final truth his journey had taught him. The mission was never about saving Echo. It was about letting Echo save him. And he had, every single day, for the rest of their lives.